What's up, everybody? It is I, Sigma, and we are back with episode 22 of the BBET GamesCast. Yeah. Okay, I almost lost count there for a second. Episode 22. I'm joined by Superman Jeff 12.
What's going on?
As well as Blue Bones.
It's your boy. What's going on, fams?
And today is our Joker spoiler cast episode.
Yeah.
Once again, that's going to be at the end of the show, so don't run off just yet. It'll be after even our sign-offs and all that stuff, so it'll be the very last thing we do, so you can listen to the entire podcast if you haven't seen the movie yet, and then come back to it once you have, if you want to kind of join into that discussion. But where we're going to start is where we've always started, which is what we've been playing. I do feel like there's a lot of that this week, so this section's probably going to be a bit extended, but does anybody want to go first? I mean, I can't.
I got it.
You want? All right.
I got it. Yeah. What's going on, y'all? I'm kind of on this, the gamer's equivalent of a soul-searching journey, and I'm going through the Game Pass, Xbox's Game Pass, and I'm trying to find a game that's going to permanently be added to my library. I'm trying to find a couple. With Game Pass, they got a lot of indie games, a lot of throwbacks, some things that didn't quite make the $60 mark sometimes, but they have some really good stuff on there, so I'm searching through to find that gem. One of them I might have found is the Outer Worlds. I keep saying Outer Wilds
because that is another game that released earlier.
Yeah, that's a whole other game,
and that also got a lot of buzz for being really good too. So
yeah,
that's actually
that sounds like that. Was that the Outcast movie?
Oh, Idlewild.
Idlewild.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was younger, I really wanted to watch that. I just didn't make the time.
Oh, you never watched that? That movie's good. I liked it.
Yeah,
we
went to movies to see it.
The album connected to it is probably one of my favorite Outkast albums.
Honestly, is that the name of the song, Idlewild? Or
I think there is a song called Idlewild on it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite songs from Andre 2000.
It's a good album.
Yeah, that's a good one. But anyway, back to
Outer Worlds.
The Outer Worlds is a great RPG, and I'm not 100% why I like it so far. I was telling you guys about this yesterday. It's very similar to Fallout 4. It's very similar to Borderlands is a good mix in there. Some people mentioned Mass Effect. I could see that as well.
Okay, yeah, because it is space, right? And I think you have like a
cowboy
crew.
Yeah. So the first town you hit, it's a long story about how the world is set up, and basically the corporations of Earth have now taken over the universe, and most of the planets that you're on is owned by a corporation with their own set of rules and their own societies and stuff like that. It's really crazy. Like these people, we would say like, "Oh my God, something happened." They'll be like, "Oh my law, something happened." Like
my law.
Yeah, for real.
Wow.
The law and the rules of the corporation is their religion, their life, and that's like their working is supposedly a cure to everything. When you're sick, they say, "Oh, this is because you don't have good work ethic. You just gotta get in the factory a little bit more."
Sounds like
I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that.
You gonna use that at work?
Yeah, I'm not feeling good. That's because you don't have good work ethic.
Don't let my character come in there, because
get back in there.
I'd be saving right before our meeting. Trust and believe. I did it on stream on Saturday for a couple hours actually, and it's a lot of fun, man. I feel like it's it's lighter than Fallout 4, right? And that's kind of why I I'm still trying to figure out why I like this game and why I can't stop thinking about it. Not just because it's new, but I feel like normally with open world games, Skyrim, Fallout 4, I've played both of them for a long period of time, and then I would leave, and then I come back and I'm like, who is this person and what was I doing?
Right, yeah, that's kind of the curse of any like long RPG. If
exactly.
you leave it, you'll probably forget what you were doing.
I feel like this game is simple enough where I'm not going to get lost. I'm using the journal quite a bit, and the journal is quick and to the point, and I remember like every time I'm working on something, my mind's away, and then I come back to it, I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right, I was going in this direction, I was looking for this person. Everything's pretty well laid out. I like the armors that I've seen so far. I like the companions that they've given me. And I ran into, I don't know, a couple weeks back, we had what was our top 3 most difficult video game choices, right? I ran into one where I kind of sat there. I think you were watching.
I think I saw that situation.
So, the dilemma is, there's a town that's just running their people ragged called Edgewater, and not far from the town is a settlement of people who deserted that town. They're like, no, we don't do that no more. Now, Edgewater is a cannery, and they can tuna. Now, it's not actual tuna, it's what they call salt tuna. This whole world is plagued with fake and engineered food. So the guy who runs Edgewater is like, yo, all we eat is salt tuna here because that's what we got, and people love it. And if you're sick, it's because there's something wrong with you.
Not because you're eating a synthetic food item all day, every day. Oh my gosh.
All day, every day. That's the problem, right? So the deserters now, they found a way to make food, to grow crops. This planet is pretty barren. And so they're like, look, we got everything. We just need that dude, that idiot out of power over there. So you're going to find this power generator that's diverting power both ways, and you eventually have to make the choice, right? If I take the power and give it to the deserters, they get to flourish. Edgewater loses out, right? And they get to be better and do better. They seem like the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
Right as you're about to make the switch, like, it is almost a no-brainer to give the power to the good people, right? Right as you're about to make the switch, your companion's like, hey, look, I think I know what you're about to do, but we can't let all of those people in Edgewater die just because of one idiot leader. They have a lot more people than the settlement. And I was just like, oh, crap. Like, legit, right as you're going up to the switch, she's like, hold on a second. Think about this.
Mm-hmm.
Bro.
That makes a lot of sense,
She had me stuck. I was so ready to just pull the switch. And I was like, oh, man. Now, the cool thing is how everything got resolved. Everyone can,
quick question. Like, after she told you that at that moment, could you still have been like, forget what you're saying and just pull the...
Yes.
Yeah?
Most definitely.
So that was an option.
That was definitely an option.
Was there no third option?
So that's the thing, right? Not initially, but it presented itself later through good conversation, which was super cool. So, I mean, everyone's story is going to go their own way, right? So I don't feel it's too much of a spoiler. But yeah, so what I ended up doing is I took the power, gave it to Edgewater, right? Gave it to the big town. Mm-hmm. And so I went back to the settlement. I was like, hey, look, all these people is going to die. I couldn't do that. Now, the person who leads the settlement has a personal grudge with old boy at Edgewater. And so she was really just stuck on that grudge. And you're like, okay, you're a really hateful person on the good side. Look, this is what you got to do. Just tell all your people to move to Edgewater. I'm going to tell this dude that you know how to grow food so your people can be, healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, look, I'm not going to tell all my people that you just pretty much killed them. You need to either get rid of him or we're not coming. So that's the third option that they produced, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go back to old boy and you have a heated conversation, and it can go one of two ways. So you can kill him mid-conversation just as a tag, or you can convince him to go. Now, my character is always about persuasion and stuff like that. I convinced him to leave on his own.
And that worked?
It worked because the way your character explained it. He's like,
blackmail him?
No, I wanted to. Actually, when I first met him, I killed him just to see what happened. And I ended up killing his guards too, but then my companion's like, what are you doing? You just killed my boss. But anyway, at the end, it was like she took me into conversation. I didn't have to talk to her.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. So yeah, I had to convince him. I'm like, look, this is good for your people. You've been messing up the town. Like, the problem is you the whole time. I can prove it, all this kind of stuff. And then he's like, all right, you know what? I'll leave. If this sounds good. So you do realize, like, he's not an evil tyrant. He's just stupid.
He was just clueless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, he kind of pulls on your heartstrings as you're talking to him as he just decided that he's defeated. And he's like, yeah, I'll just go out and live in the the wilds, and we're like,
So
you know, like a die out there,
yeah,
right?
like
That's how the conversation goes. Like, I feel like everything that I'm thinking, it's presented on the screen as an option for the most part. You know what I mean? So
Now,
I think that's another reason why I really like this game. I think the dialogue is pretty natural.
is there any co-op uh, aspect to it?
I don't believe so.
yeah, I think it
I,
is just single player, like in the vein of because it's Obsidian. It's the guys who made
yeah.
Fallout New Vegas, and
Hmm.
one of the people who made the original Fallout, like Fallout One, when it was
Mhm.
top down and stuff. So
Yeah.
like they have that lineage, is why it probably feels familiar.
Yeah. So that was just the first little storyline that I went through, and there's, you have your overarching story about who you are and what happened and blah blah blah. I won't spoil that for everybody because that's pretty much the same. But the Outer Wilds on Xbox Game Pass, definitely worth your time, at least to check it out. So far, and I feel like this might be a permanent addition to my library, but we'll see. We're hanging in
Yeah,
there.
that's a really good catch for Game Pass. I was expecting that to
Uh,
come out. It went straight to Game Pass too.
Well,
Facts.
you do know Obsidian is one of the companies Microsoft bought recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so that's why. Because it is on, like, this was a game that was coming out before they announced that. So it is on Game Pass,
Oh.
but it also released on PS4. But you have to pay $60 for it.
Yeah.
See?
So, yeah,
see
so
what
this is
happened there?
part of that strategy that Microsoft's been doing is collecting these developers to build out their catalog. So I'm super interested to see what comes next because more than likely that's going to be an Xbox exclusive.
Yeah.
But that's what's up, yeah.
Yeah, I'm having fun with it. On top of that, I've played a couple other games. There's one called Battle Chasers.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard
Um,
of that.
yeah, it's not fun yet.
What is it about? Like, what do you do in it?
Not fun yet. So basically, the main character, you follow a team, and the main character is the daughter of some great hero, and the great hero had these allies who are now following the daughter. Somehow the hero disappeared. He had these mighty gauntlets, and the daughter inherited them, and she's still unlocking their powers. It's a cute little setup. They try to lean a little heavy on the comedy, and I think it was too much for too little of time. Um, and it's kind of a old school Final Fantasy. Like my characters are here. It's turn based. My character's
Turn-based
here. Your character's
RPG.
there.
Okay.
Yeah. All choose your skills. Choose your basic animation or basic basic attacks, and you have defensive stances. There's some cool elements there, but it goes too slow right now for me, and it hasn't really caught my. I haven't been bit by that bug yet. If that makes sense, yeah.
All right.
So
I mean, you would liken it to what, like a JRPG? Like it really is copying that style, or
yeah, I mean, I think I would like it if I had more free roam of the characters. It's really just kind of moving on the map from battle to battle, and then every
No,
now and
okay.
then you get to an area where you could really explore, and that's like a significant area. But I'm not. It's not that I'm not impressed. The game looks gorgeous. It's cute. It's got some cool, especially every hit in the combat feels heavy. Like everything vibrates, and there's like a little slow mo right before the connect. It's cool, but gameplay wise, I don't see myself spending hours on this game by any means. I felt forced to push through the first 45 to 50 minutes that I was rocking it. So
yeah,
we'll
that's
see.
a long onboarding
Yeah.
process. But a lot of like classic JRPGs feel that way. So I'm wondering if that's what they're trying to like evoke.
Yeah, you have a very strict routine in the beginning until it kind of opens up.
Yeah, the way that I'm like at least 10 battles in and haven't felt any kind of anything that like I did on my own. You know what I mean? They're still holding my hand. And yeah, so we'll see. I'm not 100% giving up on it yet. I want to see where I get to like the first boss or the first, real challenge. But right now I'm not a huge fan of Battle Chasers.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I downloaded some other ones. I'm ready to go next week. You guys should look forward to. I don't know if you guys downloaded already. Secret Neighbor.
Hmm.
Oh, I
Have you
know
heard
what
of
that
that?
game is. I'm gonna be honest, I don't. I have no interest in it.
I feel like it's a somewhat cartoony Dead by Daylight. Now I haven't played
Mm.
it yet, just from the descriptions. You know, either not Dead by Daylight. Oh man, Friday the 13th. That's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get into that.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you know what? I'll let you get it.
Yeah, why not get into it right now then? Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay.
Perfect
So
segue.
I downloaded Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing that, so that was pretty fun. It's kind of like the Evolve setup where you have players who are players,
Mm-hmm.
and you have the one player who's playing as Jason, Mr. Voorhees. So what you got to do is you have to go from house to house, depending on where you start out from.
If
and
you're Jason, or
yeah,
if you're
no,
the...
if
the campers.
if you're the campers,
Okay.
you got to find things that, like, so you're looking for a key to this thing, to this kind of chest from where I played, and you had to find the key. So the key might not necessarily be in that particular cabin you're in. You got to search, or another player might have found the key. So you got to kind of communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is you're trying to survive until the cops get there. So you call the cops. Everybody's trying to survive until the cops get there. And I played 2 matches. I was lucky enough not to come across Jason, so I'm not sure how the whole mechanic is, like if it's a one-hit kill or what. But I do like the mechanics, like you got to use the walkie-talkies. You find walkie-talkies. I do like how everything kind of works together for the overall story.
With the walkie-talkies, like, is that the only way you can communicate with the other players? Or is that like
if
via
you're not
voice
in a
chat
party
or
with
something?
them.
Yeah, unless you're obviously in the Xbox Live chat.
Yeah.
That's the only other way.
Because
but
that actually is cool. Like, that's kind of dope that they would do that.
So it was fun. It was very fun and very intense. It reminds me of playing Alien Isolation, where you're just like, every corner you're worried about the alien coming out. That would be actually something fun to play on stream with a few people, because it's like, I think that's kind of what, if you remember Fable Legends.
Yeah, the isometric.
What they were going for,
yeah.
That was supposed to be a kind of D&D style type situation, where there's four heroes, and then the 5th person is kind of like the game master. He's sending out minions and changing paths, and he's supposed to be like the final boss or whatever it is.
Interesting.
So it kind of makes everybody work together, and then I think whoever becomes Jason, I think that's random. I don't think you get to choose.
Yeah, I played Friday the 13th actually a while back, surprisingly, because considering I don't do horror games. But a friend convinced me to jump on and play with them. We played a couple matches, and yeah, it's definitely intense. When you play as Jason, you have a whole set of skills, a lot of passives, and when you upgrade your skills throughout the match, you can really choose like how you come across people. You can have more health, you can be quieter. Maybe people don't have that fear, and that's the thing. And Jeff, I'm sure you experienced, or you might have experienced this. When Jason gets close to you and you're playing as a camper, there's like a fear indicator, and you hear like the music starting to come.
Okay.
Yeah, bruh.
Yeah, that sounds like very nerve-wracking.
Yeah. It's a lot better when it's your friends playing, but when it's somebody else, yeah, it's.
No, man. No, I've never came across him. I don't know. I don't know if he just couldn't find me or what it was, but like.
Yeah, it's pretty large campgrounds for Jason, but he can move super fast. Y'all don't understand how fast this dude is. Like, obviously from the movies, but in his perspective, like, this dude's like teleporting. It's crazy. Yeah,
you always just see him walk.
Yeah, he's always walking. People are tripping and throwing crates and stuff.
That myth so quick. Once you play as him,
he's just sprinting, full sprint, teleportation, yellow flash, Rajan, Shuriken teleportation.
We get it. He's fast.
So I played that. I played that, and then I played Dead Cell. Played some more Dead Cell.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
So that was fun.
Did you get any further in Dead Cell?
I did finally beat another boss. I didn't beat that boss. There was another route you could take, and I fought that boss. And this game is I think it's more unforgiving than Dark Souls. The reason why, because they don't, in Dark Souls you lose your souls. Fine, whatever. Yeah, I lost them. And that means you have to die twice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you lose your skills and your gear. In Dead Space.
Yeah, like
Dead Cell,
it's very very rogue.
Yeah, it's
roguelike in
very
that.
unforgiving. So it's like for example, I opened this chest. I'm like, oh, here's a cool chest. I opened it up. It put some like curse on me. It was like, now the next hit you take, you're dead. You have to kill 10 enemies before this curse goes away.
I'm
I'm
just
like,
gonna throw
okay.
my life away.
Yeah, I'm like 10 enemies. I'm like 10 enemies. Okay, I can do this. I got this good bow. Whatever.
Yeah.
I go fight get up to a few enemies, and they have over shields on them, which means there's a shield generator you have to destroy
Oh my god!
before you can
Even
do any
damage
damage
those
to them.
guys.
Yes. And then there's this freaking samurai type dude who teleports to you. So I'm running, he just teleporting to me, and I'm like, oh my god.
That's not the move, fam.
It is not the move. But I do like the weapons are very unique. There's a whip. I came across a broadsword. There was like a short sword. There was kind of like these little turrets you put out that shoot these discs.
I remember that one because you're using that one heavy in that boss.
Yeah. And then there was just like this floating balloon thing that drops like acid. So I started kind of like kind of how I play Diablo with the Demon Hunter. I'd throw out some turrets and then just let whoever's I'm fighting just keep chasing me. And I'm just putting damage on them while the turrets are kind of like just laying into them.
It's a good strategy.
It's a really good game, and it takes a little bit of getting used to as far as the combat goes. There's a shield, but I think I used a shield like once. So I have to try to use that a little bit more and see what's going on with that. But it takes up like a whole slot. So you can either have a main weapon and a secondary weapon, or you can have a main weapon and a shield. But you don't have the shield out at the same time you have the weapon out. So like you use the weapon and then you can switch to the shield. Okay. Yeah, so it's not like a sword and shield type situation. I do like the different effects on the weapons. There was this electric whip I had where it was weird. It didn't electrify him. It froze him.
But it was called an electric whip?
It was called an electric whip.
So, I mean, I guess, maybe it's stunning or paralyzing them with electricity.
They were frozen. It was a frozen animation.
There was like ice?
They had ice on them. Yeah, it was like frozen. Like, whatever. I'm not arguing with it. As long as it's frozen. Whatever. Then they had like a huge broadsword where, the swings were a lot slower, but they're a lot more devastating. And even the world changed. Each time you died, the world started to change. Like, they had this... Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that part. What I was going to say is that I think these games with dying mechanics are pretty interesting. You know what I mean? Like, every time you die, it's not just you lost a life. It's just everything's going to change.
Yep.
And that's kind of... Yeah, and kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier with Secret Neighbor is a spinoff of Hello Neighbor, which has that crazy dying mechanic where whatever you did wrong, like whatever you did in that game, your neighbor learned from it. And so the next time,
I remember hearing about that.
It's so scary, yo. The next time, if you tried to enter his house through the window the first time, right, and you got in and then eventually he caught you, you do the next game, he's boarding up the window. So you got to think of a new way to go in.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. That's cool.
Yeah. So, like, these games with dying mechanics really have an impact on, for me, my gaming stamina. Like, you know what I mean?
You feel like, forget this.
You die so many times, and you're just like, I'm done for the night. And I think Dead Cells is one of those that would really hit me hard. And I see it hitting you on the stream, too. But
man,
you got more stamina than me.
You got to get used to the combat. Once I finally got used to the combat, it wasn't as much. But then when you get used to the combat, I was like, oh, here's a boss battle. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then the boss isn't just, like, the boss was like, he lunged at you with his sword. And then he put, like, this shield around that damages you. But then, like, you can only go so far because each section was cut off with, like, this beam. So you couldn't go so far. And you have to really use the roller mechanic to your advantage. Because it's pretty much, it's a dodge, but it's also a way to kind of like negate damage if you roll at a certain time.
Invincibility frames on it.
Yes. So like you pass through the person. So like there's just one regular enemy that kind of lunges towards you. You can obviously jump out the way, or you can just roll through them. So you just have to make sure you roll correctly. Right. But the boss had like this electric shield on that you kind of got to back up and wait it out. Because you can't roll through that. So that's why I think they put that on him, is to stop you from rolling through him. But it's a really fun game. And it visually looks beautiful. There's a lot of variations to enemy types and weapons. So, and it reminds me of D&D a little bit. As far as the way the dungeons and stuff are set up, they change each time you die.
Right.
So it might not be the same exact route the first time you died to the second time you died.
Small issue with that because like it makes it more difficult to like if you are having a hard time to like kind of memorize what you're doing and if they keep switching it every time. But I mean, it does add to the replayability of games like this. Like Splunky does the same thing, which I'm assuming it might have been a bit of an influence for Dead Cells. But like yeah, like the roguelike element where everything's different every single time you die. Sometimes
unforgiven.
Sometimes it's a little rough.
It's funny because the intro or trailer for Dead Cells describes that perfectly. You know, the character just goes out and gets murdered multiple times. And
that whole animated weapons. Thing, right?
Yeah. And there's like, look, this is the game, fam. You're just gonna have to keep trying until it works.
That's how it goes. Yeah. It does a lot. It looks like it has like some of the art style reminds me of some of the things I saw when you were playing on Hollow Knight. Some of the way some of the characters.
Matter of fact, those games I think came out around the same time. Like I think they were both in like early access or something for like a long time, and then like released close to one another. Because I kept hearing about Dead Cells being compared to Hollow Knight. But I haven't tried Dead Cells yet. Like I picked Hollow Knight, I guess, in that in that competition.
You chose your side.
Seems like it. But so is that it for what you've been playing?
Yes, sir.
All right, I actually was able to play a couple of other things other than what I played for review this week. I'll start with what I did review. It's actually a horror game called Moons of Madness. The review's up on Escapist right now. Think of like clearly Moons of Madness like a reference to the Mountains of Madness from like H.P. Lovecraft and that stuff. Like it's a very Lovecraftian inspired game, like they say it in the beginning and everything. But it's set on Mars. Like you're an engineer who works at this space station, not a space station, but like an actual outpost on the surface of Mars, trying to like find alien life. Like everything's paid for by this super shady corporation. And Jeff, you actually find this interesting. It's a company called Orochi, because it's the same devs of that game that you used to play, The Secret World.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is technically tied to that universe.
Oh, that's pretty cool with the Illuminati and the Templars and whatnot.
Yeah, they don't go that deep into it, but that stuff exists, and like they give you hints at it or whatever, because you know the company is like, you start reading emails and stuff that kind of give you some information. But this story is about this one character named Shane. He's a mechanical engineer. His mom was like this brilliant theoretical mathematician who like wrote all these books about like extra dimensional stuff, and like apparently she kind of got so deep into her stuff that people started calling her kind of insane, and then eventually she disappeared. So like you and your dad were like looking for her for years and never knew what happened to her.
Yo, that's basically the origin story of your companion in the Outer Wilds.
Oh,
that's
really?
Crazy. Yeah, that's wild.
So you, as an adult now, you know your mom's been gone since you were a kid. You're on this outpost, and everybody's having nightmares because you know how Lovecraft stuff is. Like these old gods start awakening, and then everybody starts going a little nuts and crazy. So one of the scientists, one of your fellow scientists, has been experimenting with some alien stuff that they found, and of course that goes really, really bad. So the stuff is breaking everywhere. People are disappearing. I really liked the story they told. It starts off kind of slow, but they do a good job mixing in your character's backstory with all of the Lovecraft stuff. So it kind of keeps you moving along because you want to know what happens next. Like, oh, well, what happened then if this is related to that, if that happened to that? And at the same time, you're like learning about all of this corporate intrigue and stuff too. So like you're hearing the backstories of all the other characters who you're hearing in your headset because you don't actually see most of them for most of the game because like they were doing something else. And so they're telling you, oh, Shane, go fix this thing. Or Shane, what's going on over there? We need you to do this because we're doing that. So it's like, you'll be like, oh, where are you when you walk into a room? It's like, oh, we had to do this because something else happened. Like, they keep kind of misplacing the people who you're looking for. So it really aids the sense of, like, isolation. You're like, man, I really wish there was another person around here because, like, there's a bunch of scary stuff going on.
Oh, man.
So that's kind of the vibe I'm feeling like they were trying to give you, but the game itself isn't that scary. Like, if you're trying to come into it because you want that sense of dread or like that nervousness, you're probably not going to find it here. And I'm not sure why that is. Like, it just, like, to get like a proper jump scare, for example, like the timing needs to like hit, you know, like they need to kind of distract you or have you focusing on something and then kind of surprise you. So like there are like maybe one or two good versions of that where like they really do just completely trick you into like putting your attention into something and then just shock you with like a scare. But a lot of the other ones were like I'm controlling the character, so like I'll move it down the hallway and like you see like maybe a shadow or something, and then they'll do like the music cue and like something will happen, something will run by, but I wasn't looking in that direction.
Oh,
You know? Yeah, so it's like
nope, that's where blue checks out.
but because it's like the character will say, "Oh my god, what was that?" But I was like looking at a wall or like looking at a piece of paper or something, so I don't know what the hell he said. What the hell was that? So like it's kind of like not matching. There's only a couple of like actual enemies that show up. Like there's no real combat in this game. Like you don't fight stuff, you know.
Okay, I was about to ask what the gameplay.
Yeah, like
is
it's
it more of a
mostly
puzzle
puzzle
game, or-
solving, right? Yeah, like he has like a wrist mounted computer, and like he can use it to like scan devices because the guy's an engineer, so he has the ability to like fix all sorts of things. So like, oh, the circuits are broke here, so I have to do this little puzzle on thing, which is him reconnecting the circuits. But I did like how the puzzles were all very context sensitive. Like you weren't constantly doing the same thing; they would keep switching it up. So like maybe I was using a wrist mounted computer to connect circuits so that I got power, but I had to later on purify this water containment thing. So I had to put in these filters into a box and then calibrate the filters so that they did certain things. But then I was still doing that on a wrist mounted computer. So there was also a really cool one where you had to like balance a centrifuge. Like you had to make a poison or something.
Oh wow!
So like you had to, but it was a puzzle. Like it was like a hexagonal puzzle where each of the vials had a symbol on it, and you had to pick the vials that would match up with the symbol of the actual formula that somebody gave you. So like they kept giving me different ways to use the environment and stuff. So that kept it interesting, but it just was never really scary. Like it kind of felt like a theme park ride where you're sitting on a coaster, and as you move from objective to objective, they just kind of like try to jump out and scare you.
Try to scare you, yeah.
But like there really wasn't anything that gave you a sense of dread. So I like the game. It could be more scary since that's what it was going for, but I personally don't mind it because I'm not a big fan of horror stuff anyhow. But if they market it as a scary game, like people are probably going to be disappointed if it's not that scary. So
I feel you.
Right. So that was Moons of Madness. I asked Kia to hook me up with the free trial because since she has an iPad, because I wanted to check out some of the stuff on the Apple Arcade.
Oh, okay.
And I played this game called What the Golf.
Oh,
what the golf?
That game is hilarious.
It is.
Yeah.
Have you tried it?
Yeah.
Like so, not to really spoil what it does because like the whole game is about subverting your expectations. Because like in most golf games, like especially for like a mobile game, to swing the club you just pull back and like let it go. You know, like you charge the power, you let it go, then you like try to aim it, right? They take that mechanic and they keep turning it into different things. Like first it's a joke where you're like, you know, you swing the golf club and you hit the ball. Then there's a joke where you're swinging the golf club with the golfer, but then the golfer gets thrown. so you're flinging the golfer instead of the actual ball. Yeah. And they keep turning it upside down. It's like, okay, you think you understand what they're doing with this thing, and then like a lot of the mechanics are literally just played for like a one-off joke. Like they'll keep building the whole level structure off of one single thing, only to catch you off guard because you got used to that thing at the very end. And then like they'll do like a little word joke at the end to kind of matter of fact, I'll spoil this one because it was so dumb. But like, you know golf terminology, right? A hole in one.
Yeah.
One of the things is you flick the thing trying to hit the ball, and it's the actual hole. Like the hole that the golf ball goes into is the thing you're flicking. And you're trying to, and you're trying to get
the hole on the ball.
To the ball.
No, but that's the thing. instead of the hole where the ball would go, there's a literal big cutout of a 1 in the ground.
And you gotta.
So you literally have to put the hole in the 1.
Oh man!
Like that's how dumb. That's
me.
how dumb a lot of those jokes are.
I just pulled it up while you were talking about it on the Apple Store. This game looks wild.
Definitely give it a try. It is
fun.
It is very, very funny in like the dumbest way, but it's also smart in the way that they keep reusing that very basic mechanic. Like they use it in all sorts of different ways. So like you'll constantly be surprised. I want to say I put like maybe an hour or an hour and a half into it so far, but it was a lot of fun. Like it was very entertaining.
I think I played for like 20 minutes.
Try it out if you haven't already. And you know, Apple Arcade does give you the free trial, so
it's true.
It doesn't cost you anything to at least try that out at this point. I wanted to also try this game called Sayonara Wild Hearts. It's like a rhythm game that has a lot of music in it, but wouldn't launch for some reason. So I don't know if that's the iPad or Apple Arcade being funky, but I wasn't able to try that. But that's what the golf. The last thing I played, I actually got accepted into the alpha for Ninja Theory's new game, Microsoft's exclusive Bleeding Edge.
Bleeding Edge, yeah.
Yeah, that 4v4 melee-based team combat game, whatever, right?
How is that?
Honestly,
quick,
yeah.
Right off the bat, compare it to For Honor. What are we looking
For
at?
Honor? Honestly, it's simpler than For Honor.
Okay.
Like, you know how For Honor kind of treats its characters like it's a fighting game, where you have to kind of learn the ins and outs of that character before you can really do anything with them. And then also, opposing characters, you have to learn their ins and outs too. All of that, like, maybe cut the intricacy of those characters in For Honor down by, like, 2/3.
Oh, okay.
So think of it, like, honestly, it's a lot closer to Overwatch. Like, that's kind of what they're aping. Where, like,
that's what
they
we saw
have...
at E3, right?
Yes, yeah. That was one of the first things Microsoft showed up on their stage was that Bleeding Edge trailer. So, like, they have, you know, like, well-designed characters. Like, there's a black samurai called Damon, and it's spelled with the A-E, so clearly, you know, they're evoking, like, demon. Because he wears, like, the Oni mask that samurais wear. But, like, it's only the bottom half, and he has a fitted that has the horns. So, like, I'm like, yo, that's actually, like, a really dope design.
Yeah, that's super. And he's got the little gas tanks on his face.
Yeah, like, because he seems like he's, like, a mix of, like, a graffiti artist and a samurai. Because, like, his sword has, like, paint blotches on it.
And he's got paint canisters on his shoulder.
Yeah, like, he looks really, really dope. Like, that's probably one of the best designs.
Did you pull him up just now?
Heck yeah, I pulled him
up. Yeah, he looks really cool.
He said Black Samurai. I was like,
yeah, like Damon, he looks really, really cool. There's another one, the gunner, who looks kind of like Tiny Tina from Borderlands. I think her design is also really cool. But some of the other ones are less interesting. Like, there's a weird looking, he's a Hispanic guy. I'm guessing he's supposed to be Mexican. He seems like he's kind of based off of, what's the actor? Danny Trejo.
Oh,
he seems like he's based off Danny Trejo, but I mean, I do too. But this guy seems, I don't know, kind of whack to me.
Okay.
And he uses like 2 machetes as like dual swords or whatever. So the character designs are kind of hit and miss, but they just seem too simple. Like you have like a basic combo on your attack button. You can jump and do like aerial attacks. And then you can do 2, or I think it's 3 special moves. And like everything works on cooldowns, like Overwatch, for example.
Right.
And it's fine when you're like kind of trying things out, like because they let you be in a dojo before the servers went live to do the testing. But once you're in an actual match, everything seems super cluttered. Like,
really?
Like, think about it where like you're playing. Because Ninja Theory makes, like, hack and slash games. Like, they made DMC and stuff. And Senua's Sacrifice, right? Imagine if you're not the one doing the combo, you're the one getting the combo done on you. Like, it's not fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, say you were the enemy. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, everyone has a dodge mechanic as well. But there's no block. So if someone is hitting you with their combo...
there's nothing you can do.
Well, there's a specific window where if you have a dodge available, because the dodges are also on cooldowns, you can dodge out of it. But it just seems like characters are balanced in such a way where there are certain characters who are better at melee. So if you're, say, like a gunner character, there's literally nothing you can do when a melee character's in your face other than try to dodge and run away. Because that's what I've seen. That's what I've seen the computer do when I was testing out the different matchups.
Vice versa, where if you're the gunner and you have the melee character at a range, is it kind of the same or?
Sort of, yeah, but I feel like you have more options when you're further away. Even though someone has range on you, you can still go around corners. You can dodge. Something. Yeah. And certain characters have abilities that can fend that off, like shields and stuff. So it's very, very heavily matchup based. It seems like, and I don't know, like, you want a game like this to where you don't want to specialize too heavy, right? You want everyone to feel fun. Like like Overwatch, like they gave you, and I think there's a small character roster. So Overwatch gave you like a bunch at the very beginning that all fulfilled similar roles. So like if you wanted to do someone who was very tanky, you could go Reinhardt. Someone who was very healer-y, you would go Mercy. But then they had like different variations of them. Like if maybe you wanted to do more damage versus healing stuff. This seems like, oh, this character is a heal. This character is attack and heal. This character is damage. This character is defense, and it's way too specialized, and I don't know, like it's maybe something I have to get used to, but I didn't find the actual live combat scenarios fun.
Okay.
And that's a problem. Like I like the world, like to describe it, it's like imagine if you took the cell shaded filter off of Borderlands and then just made the characters 3D. Like that's kind of what the world looks like. But then Overwatch stylized characters. So like it's like a fusion of that. But then the fighting is like a hack and slash game. Yeah. So
I'm interested.
I am still interested. I do intend to go to their servers and kind of give some of that feedback about how the combat feels. But I'm a little worried. Like this is supposed to be one of Microsoft's new exclusives. Like they bought Ninja Theory, which is an amazing developer. Like I've loved most of their games prior to this, but them adding the multiplayer aspect seems to be the problem, because making like a fluid combat game where you can have fluid combat done to you, like without very many options, seems problematic.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I feel like there should be like some type of like perfect block or something.
Right,
like
yeah.
That,
I really wish there could have been some kind of parry or block mechanic, but it's really just you can dodge and try to move away, and that doesn't feel as fun. Which like run away from somebody's really stun lock heavy combo,
Well, this is the thing. How many chances do you have to get out of these long combos?
Well, most characters, I think it varies, but some either have 2 or 3 dodges, right? Before it has to, like, think of like Tracer's dash, like it
okay, yeah.
There's a countdown to it to when you can use it again.
Recharges every time.
Right. So if you're out of dodges, you can't do anything.
Well, I think and it's kind of like you gotta manage your cooldowns.
I mean, true, but is that fun? I understand like that's what they're maybe intending you to do. Like, oh, be mindful of how many dodges you have, because if you get caught by somebody, that's your option to get away. But like, is that fun to have your only option be to dodge in terms of defense? Like what if I want to push forward? Like, okay, so we both clash, but we both attack at the same time, but their attack hits me first. I can't block after that. I have to dodge and run away, and then wait for their combo to finish, or for me to then like it doesn't feel like that. Doesn't feel like melee combat in those instances,
Huh? I don't know. I feel like you're describing a lot of the competitive fighting games. You know what I mean? Like Mortal Kombat, Marvel vs. Capcom.
But in all those games,
you
have way more options to defend. Is what I'm like. This is what I'm saying. Like the attack portion, as limited as it is, that's probably the most fun part of the game, because you get to learn your character's abilities, and then you can string together a bunch of combos. So that's probably where you get the satisfaction. But on the receiving end, you feel very limited.
Like just watching a cutscene.
Yeah, like you can either dodge or try to get out of their attack range by running away. Like you can't block, you can't parry. Like in all these other fighting games, you have those options. Like you can turtle up, you can, do like a perfect guard, you can try to counter.
I hear what you're saying. Okay.
Like make the defense portion more engaging, so that if someone's attacking me, I have more options to fight back.
I hear that. I hear that.
But and that's pretty much it. I do want to add, the game had been live for, I want to say, half an hour, and I was playing with some people, and someone still sent me a message telling me to switch.
What?
Dang.
Like, what are you talking about? We're literally testing out the characters, but you have the nerve to send me a message telling me to switch my character. For
Yo,
what?
Let me tell y'all.
You don't know it. You don't know any of these matchups.
If you want to get blocked, you tell me how to play a game that I bought or downloaded myself or paid for with my Xbox Live. That's how you get blocked. Tell me how to play that game.
Like, literally, the thing is, no one knows how to play the game. So, like, why would I listen to you? Like, you don't know anything. You don't know any more than I do. It's like the first match.
You know
Ridiculous.
what I want? I was just thinking about it. It just popped in my head. One day we got to talk about the craziest messages we've received.
Oh man.
Oh, that's
how-
a good idea.
That's how I go. That's how I go from 0 to 100, and it's like I get in trouble. Like, I got provoked. They came looking for it. They found it.
Yeah. And now
I'm
your
the bad
problem.
guy.
Yeah, that's like you coming knocking on my door and just slap me.
Bro, I'd be taking screenshots. Fam.
But I think that's
We'll talk about that another time.
right. Yeah. That's going to do it for what
podcast.
we've been playing. Not too much news, but we do have some other topics to fill out the show before we get into the Joker discussion. But real quick, we're going to go into our topics. First off, tons of game delays as of late. What is going on in the game industry? So, Doom Eternal was delayed from its launch date. Watch Dogs Legion was delayed. Ubisoft delayed a bunch of stuff. Watch Dogs Legion.
Yeah, a few of their titles. Yeah.
Rainbow Six Quarantine, which is supposed to be a new Rainbow Six game, has nothing to do with
Siege or anything.
Siege. And then that game Gods and Monsters, which has been called sort of a Breath of the Wild like, but literally no gameplay has been seen from it. It was weird that they announced a release date for it in the first place. So, not surprisingly, that got pushed back. And then a big one, The Last of Us Part 2 got pushed back.
Yeah.
Just last week, they announced the release date of February and then said, you know what, nah.
My bad.
We need a little bit more time.
What in the world happened?
Yo, I think
They want to make sure it's like.
they need to make sure it's good. Make sure you can pay $60 and not be upset about it. And we're going to talk about games that we paid $60 for and we're upset about. You know
No,
what I'm
we're
saying?
not going to talk about that.
No, that's coming. But it's just like, I feel like they scared. You know, we have a lot higher threshold for buying a game, 2, buying in-game content, and 3, continually playing a game. It's a lot harder for us to hit those 3 marks nowadays than it was back in the day. And maybe they're realizing that, and they're saying, hey, let's just make sure this is good. Let's cross all our T's and dot our I's. Very possible.
Well, also,
But-
they're following up, like, The Last of Us.
Mhm.
So, they can't, like. just
Yeah, you
put
can't
this-
just...
Yeah, they got to go, like, all in. Like, they
Yup.
got to make sure they fine-tune every aspect of that game. Because
Mhm.
if you put it out and it's not as good as the first one, they'll
Like, you
never
can't-
live that down. Yeah, you
It can't be like slightly not as good.
No.
No, that's not enough.
Yeah.
It has to be amazing.
No. Mm-mm.
Well,
I mean,
the thing,
so many people are just crying over The Last of Us in general.
Mm.
You know what I mean? They just love the story so much, and it's so emotional, and it's hitting a lot of players from people who main different genres. They're liking the story. So if you're making a sequel, you got to make sure it hits everybody, just like the
Yeah.
first one did.
Sony,
I mean, you're
man,
right.
You gotta.
because
This ain't no Spider-Man movie. You gotta go all in.
I'm tired of Spider-Man movies. I'm tired of Batman movies. I'm tired of Superman movies.
Never.
But yeah,
Um,
the thing with The Last of Us 2 is the first game, I felt like it really kind of finished its story. So for Naughty Dog to justify even doing a sequel, like
It's already a little sketch.
yeah, it is kind of sketchy. Like they said, they felt like they found the story they wanted to tell, and then went through with the game. But me personally, I didn't find The Last of Us 1's gameplay to be all that revolutionary. Like it was the story that
That
really,
drew, yep.
the atmosphere, the way they told that story via a video game is what made that so like hard hitting. So
Do you think they're focusing on gameplay mechanics more on this sequel?
well, from
a
what
lot
I've
of the gameplay looks like Shadow of the Tomb Raider. A lot of stealth
I can see
mechanics
that.
and whatnot.
Yeah, I remember that.
Like they definitely added more to it. Like apparently Ellie can like dodge. Like there's like a dodge button and stuff. There's I'm blanking now, but they've added like more to the actual character's abilities. Because I think it is Ellie who you play for the majority. Like it's not Joel that's at the lead. I think it's probably Ellie, and then maybe Joel is tagged along, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
So you're switching. So like they're kind of changing it up, making her a bit more viable as a combatant. But I don't know, like that stuff was passable. Like it didn't revolutionize anything. It wasn't like super like how Uncharted is like very like poppy. Like it tells you like a kind of a blockbuster thing, but the gameplay is kind of just there. Like it kind of just gets you from point A to point B. That's kind of how I felt about The Last of Us, but to a lesser extent. Like Last of Us definitely has more engaging gameplay than Uncharted does, but it still wasn't like the main focus. Like you're not coming to that game for gameplay mechanics.
Yeah. Okay.
So it seems like maybe they are trying to make that a bit more viable, but it really does have to be the story that justifies itself. Because that game doesn't need to exist. Like The Last of Us 1 was kind of perfect.
Okay.
I agree.
Well, we'll see what they do with it. Because if you take an extra time, you gotta justify it.
Yeah, put that work in.
But here's my theory as to why maybe all this stuff is being pushed back some.
You think it's a funding thing?
Maybe for Doom Eternal, because that's id Software, and if I'm not mistaken, id is under the Bethesda umbrella now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm gonna double check that.
I thought they got
now.
acquired.
Yeah, like
go ahead.
that.
Finish your thought. I got you.
But think about, and we're gonna get into some more Bethesda stuff. But think about Bethesda's track record as of late. Like the last game they released was Wolfenstein Youngblood, which was not well received at all.
Not the slightest.
And then prior to that, they've been dealing with this whole Fallout 76 thing. So
bro, yeah, I can't wait to talk about that.
Right.
But
So
here's the thing: they're not. No, go ahead, continue.
So Bethesda, I feel like, I don't know how these games have been selling, but they definitely don't have a lot of goodwill towards them. So Doom is supposed to be a very highly anticipated release. If that game comes out and is also bad for any reason, what does that look like?
Looks terrible.
Yep.
Like, so
They got.
yeah, go
They
ahead.
definitely got to look at the quality of the stuff they're putting out. I think they're trying to do all these things and trying to add. So, like, New Blood looked like it was a lot more gore and a lot more action and a lot more of this that they had in, was that New Order or
I think it is New Order.
Wolfenstein, the last one.
Yeah, I think it was New Order or something.
Yeah.
Or New Colossus.
Yes. So they had to look at what was done right in that game. They felt like they just needed to add more blood, more gore, more combat. And I just added with 2 females.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't really change anything up in that game either. They didn't really go back and kind of make a interesting story or
It was like weirdly set too.
Yeah. And it was like, okay. Same thing with Fallout 76. They put this game out, and I'm sure somebody had to consider that this was not a good idea. No NPCs. The game was super buggy the whole way through. You start making some recourse to kind of fix those things, and then we'll get into that later of what's going on with that. As opposed to looking at the franchises and the games that you put out that sold and that were critically acclaimed. You had Skyrim. You had Fallout 3 and 4. You got to kind of look at those games and see why they were successful.
Yeah, see what you match up to.
Exactly. And I put these blanks, like Fallout 76 to me seemed just like a demo.
Yeah, I mean, they were trying something new. Like,
Yeah, and I get that, but you got to look at see what's already working in the industry, and kind of apply that to what you're putting out. But like putting out a bad, I mean, Wolfenstein I was never a fan of, but I did play the one before New Order. I think the one I saw you playing. That wasn't bad. It actually played fairly well, and the story was pretty interesting. I mean, it was a ridiculous story, but it all worked. All worked together. Same thing with Fallout 4. I loved Fallout 4. I mean, I played the crap out of that. I like all the DLC. I even still go back and play it sometimes. It was a very solid game. But then you pull out 76, which was a huge failure. And they added the NPCs. They made some of those changes, but they couldn't have thought that putting this game out was a good idea. Now,
but they did it anyway. Like, that's the thing.
Anyway.
Yeah, they did it anyway.
It was just like, but think about it. They have like what, Elder Scrolls 6, which you have nothing about.
Yeah,
right?
I doubt that game is even like they've even started working on it yet.
But it's like they need a win. They
really do. They really do. And Doom Eternal has probably gotten the most buzz of any of the things they've been working on for a while now. So if anything at all looks shady about it, they probably want to just give it more time to cook. And then kind of the same thing with Ubisoft, who delayed 3 games because the last game they released, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, was a disappointment. Like, it just came out, people were not happy with it. Like, people thought that it mixed too much of all their other games together, and like it didn't have its own identity. Like, it was doing sort of what they did in Wildlands. It was copying a lot of what they did in The Division. It was doing a lot of what they do in Far Cry with, like, the open world stuff. Like,
I think one of the trivia questions you asked was about the amount of Tom Clancy titles that were out there, and and that got me thinking that instead of putting out so many of the, because think about it, we had the Division, we had a Division 2, we have Wildlands, you had
Rainbow Six,
Breakpoint, Rainbow Six. Instead of putting out all these different variations of each other, like, go back and put out something that's actually unique.
Well, you know what I mean? Gods and Monsters would have sort of been that, something brand new from them. But
we just don't know what it is.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't have any idea what that game is. Like, they showed us like a computer generated trailer of kind of, and it was like a tease because it only lasted like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So no actual gameplay, no like, I don't know what that game is. It just looks like, the closest thing it looks like is Breath of the Wild. So who knows?
Yeah.
But then they pushed that back too. So maybe I'm wondering if that game will ever even come out, because none of these they didn't give them dates. They just pushed them back, I think, right? Because Watch Dogs Legion also had a date, didn't it?
Yeah, and that was wasn't that close to coming out?
Yeah, that was supposed to be coming out this holiday season.
Yeah, I mean, that actually looked good.
It does, yeah. The concept for it looks really cool.
Yeah, and it sounded great. Like, you had these people you played at that had permadeath, where if they died, you lost that character, and each character had these different abilities. It's kind of similar to what we were looking for in State of Decay. Is that what we were playing?
Yeah.
Yes. Where you had the different abilities, but it wasn't as flushed out as we wanted it. But you kind of got that. You acquired these different players you played as, and each one had different abilities. And I'm guessing that would have played to the overall narrative, where you might need a character with this ability to kind of give you a different way into this facility or whatever it was. But it looked beautiful, and the combat looked really good as well.
So here's my conspiracy theory as to why all this stuff is getting delayed.
Okay, what's going on?
New consoles are on the horizon, right?
So they're trying to push it to have
split generation, maybe.
Yeah,
like
they're trying to cross over.
The later they can release these games on the huge install base of the end of a tail of this generation, they can also maybe make a version that will run on the next generation, so they can double dip. So because this worked tremendously well for Grand Theft Auto, remember?
It really did.
It came out I want to say a year or so before the end of last generation, and then they added some stuff and released it again at the beginning of the next generation, and it's been a hit
took off with it.
For the entirety of the generation.
It's still a hit.
So they pretty much did the same thing with Red Dead. I promise you, next generation you're gonna get a Red Dead deluxe edition or whatever. Maybe they'll throw a whole bunch of extra stuff into Red Dead Online to maybe make that more viable to try and monetize that the same way. It probably won't work as well because Red Dead Online has not been fun at all.
I was just about to ask you guys, not to go too far off topic, but like I have a couple friends who swear Red Dead Online is the truth and it's so much fun. And I'm just trying to see, like, I've watched a couple guys stream it, and it looks fun for like an hour, but like, what's really popping on that game? Like, what?
They need more detailed quests and stuff. They need like.
Well, I think they have added certain things like that. Like, there's this whole thing about being a bounty hunter, like quest lines and stuff. So it may be worth a look.
Yeah, they added. I mean, we can revisit it. It just didn't feel like. It felt like a waste, like a barren desert.
Yeah, when we were in it, it definitely felt pretty empty. Like, there was a storyline to follow there, but it was kind of impossible to do it because of the way other players would behave.
Oh man!
So I think they've also tried to address that too. Like, you can put yourself in like a passive mode or whatnot, and just go through the story without other people being able to mess with you. So it may be worth a shot. Give it back and see what they've put in there. But honestly, there's so much other stuff going on. Like, I'm not super drawn to Red Dead 2 right now.
No.
Yeah, like I can't see them really pushing this this game onto the next platform. Like, I can see them doing it, but I don't see why. When I feel like the online community is just dwindling to
money would be why.
Western enthusiasts.
I was hoping they were going to do it.
Like, money would be why. Like, that's why they do it.
Well, I mean, true. But I feel like that Red Dead Online community is dwindling. So I don't know. Maybe I feel like by the time the next generation comes out, it could be non-existent.
That's true. I was expecting or hoping for an Undead Nightmare DLC.
Well, what if they're saving that kind of stuff for the next generation?
Okay.
Because remember, like the stuff they added to GTA 5 when the new consoles came out, some of them were for the story, but the biggest updates and stuff was to the online.
The multiplayer.
Yeah, like
true.
The fact that, like, think about it, the fact that you had the extra horsepower allowed them to do more in the online space. So it'll probably be the same this go round. Like, maybe they could make the Wild West that much more dynamic on those new consoles with this newer version, and maybe that's what they're planning to do all along. Like, this is just the beta or the demo. Do they still call it a beta?
Oh, I hope not.
Because when it launched, wasn't it called a beta? The online?
Yeah, initially when it launched.
I don't know. Oh yeah, it was. Because I mean, think about it. Next gen, you got the nerve gear. You just go full dive.
Oh my god.
Full dive in the Wild West, baby.
As tired as I am of hearing that, I would be mad hyped if they dropped that nerve gear. I'm just trying not to get myself hyped about it.
But also, to sort of segue into the next topic, Doom Eternal was supposed to be one of the big launch games for Google Stadia.
Yup.
Wow.
And with that being delayed, now Google really doesn't have anything.
They have Darksiders Genesis.
Do they? That's supposed to launch too?
Yeah, it's gonna be on PC and Google Stadia.
But I mean that's not that. Like, I like the Darksiders series, but that's not on the same level as, like, Doom.
Yeah, that's not fantastic. It's just.
That's not selling no consoles.
That did pop up that they did have that. I did see that on there.
Yeah, so news came out that Google is planning on building multiple studios to give them first-party exclusives. Planning.
Yo, they should have been planned this.
Exactly. Yo, they're launching the service. Well, the founders version is coming next month, November, right? They gave a date to that. I think November 15th.
Like, oh, we forgot to get games. Oh crap!
Right. The Disney streaming platform launches as well.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yo.
So January is when the actual.
Note about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Quick note about the Disney streaming service. I was talking to my brother last night. He said he paid I think it was $100 up front, and you get 3 years of Disney. The what's it called? Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
Hulu and ESPN.
No, not that whole package. It's just the Disney thing. $100 for 3 years, and I think it breaks down to like $4 a month. I don't know. Apparently that deal's still out there.
I haven't heard that. But
yeah, y'all check that out just in case.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to deviate.
No.
You good, fam?
Yeah,
But so we've seen what happens when a platform holder can't entice people to their platform with exclusives. We've seen what happened. You get the deluge of Xbox versus PS4. PS4 is wildly in front of them because of the strength of their exclusives. Even though both of them have all these third-party games, which are the meat and potatoes of any console generation, it's the third party that kind of dictates how well the generation goes. First parties are very important to kind of put your console in the lead. And just how PS4 was in the front for most of the generation, when Switch came out and all of its exclusives are basically hitting left and right, now Switch has overtaken Xbox as well.
Yeah.
So Microsoft has struggled the entire generation because they did not focus on exclusives, which they're trying to rectify now. They announced all those studios 2 E3s ago, right? And you're just now maybe going to start seeing the fruits of that, and you're definitely going to start seeing that when the next generation comes out. Stadia is joining this generation, this next upcoming generation, with literally nothing.
Bruh. I'm telling you, they showed up to the party and they forgot the chips. Like, that's exactly... I don't know what's going on there. Like, they're supposed to be smart.
They're supposed to be smart.
I'm not a in-depth game analyst. I'm not the market researcher, but it just doesn't seem like a good idea to just now start this. It's like when you show up to the cookout late and they just start cooking, you just upset the whole time. You know what I mean?
They needed to come with something strong, something that was going to pull everybody. You needed a big launch title.
Yep.
Yeah, they need to justify
people in. Exactly.
their
like,
service.
You know those games, you're like, oh, what was it, Smash Brothers? Even if nothing else came out for the Switch, I was getting a Switch.
That's why exactly. I bought a Wii U. I played nothing
like
else
that.
on my Wii U but Smash 4. That's it.
Yep.
Like, this is so frustrating because I believe in the technology that Google Stadia is pushing. Like, the streaming service where you can just play your game anywhere, you can access the saves from anywhere. Like, that is really, really convenient for the gamer. But then they're pairing it with a very old model, like a storefront where you literally have to buy every single game.
And the thing is, like, if you have this great platform but no games, what are people supposed to do?
And the games that you do have are available on the old platforms, the stuff that people already are used to and have. Mm-hmm. So so why should they jump ship to you? Because if I sign up for Google Stadia or whatnot, or rather if I buy a game on Google Stadia, because that's how the free version will work. Well, not free, but the basic version. You would just buy the game on Stadia, you could use whatever controller you already have, you could use a computer you have, and you would just play it there, right? Why would I do that if all my other friends, are playing it on the PS4 or playing it on the Xbox One or playing it on the Switch?
You have to.
I need a reason to go there.
Encourage a whole community to get onto this online platform.
Yeah, so that you can reap the benefits of what that platform does. Yeah. And they need to showcase what that platform does with their first party. Like, this is what Nintendo is best at. They'll build an entire game around whatever's the new thing for their system, like Mario 64.
Like ARMS.
That's not where I was going with that.
But real talk, though, they made ARMS to highlight the Joy-Con, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah.
I'm not saying it was a good game. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying a lot of people played it, and it made them say, oh, the Switch is so cool because you can do stuff like this.
I would say a better example is the analog stick in Mario 64.
Okay.
The way Mario moves.
Yeah, I get that.
Was to demonstrate how you can move in 3D with a stick, because everything was digital before.
Mm-hmm. And you gotta think about it. The stick compared as far as first-person shooters. I mean, think about that. I mean,
dual analog sticks.
And the first-person shooter was just like makes no sense. So it was like with N64 going to the thumbstick, it was just like it felt perfect. It felt like it belonged, and it highlighted the functions of the games that incorporated it in there.
Yeah.
True. So Google is just going about this the wrong way. What they should have done is tell us about this streaming service and offer a competitor to Game Pass, which is, and I'm gonna say it every time, currently the best value in the video game industry today. Everybody should be copying Game Pass. PlayStation should be copying it. Nintendo should be copying it. Google has the most to gain from copying a Game Pass-like service. Because if I can literally stream my games from anywhere, then give me a library to pull from. Don't make me buy a thing and then stream it. Like, I'm not going to buy my movies over the internet. Well, I mean, I guess some people do that, right? But not when they have Netflix. You know what I mean?
It's true,
like,
yeah.
Netflix exists. You have a library where you stream from anywhere. So I'm not going to buy a digital version of a movie so that I can stream that on some others, like on, what are these services called? Like Vudu? Is that a video service? Like, who's doing that? I'm not doing that.
Tell them how you feel, son.
Like, it doesn't make sense. It's a stupid idea to have, and I feel like that's why this whole thing just feels so half baked, and it's so frustrating because like it's such a good idea.
Yeah,
it's a good idea that they're just executing so poorly.
It feels like at every turn they have nothing to show, but they keep saying we got lots to show.
Yeah, I mean, I even forgot they were coming out. That's I was just like,
there you go. Like they're giving no one any reason to be excited about it. I told you guys early on when we were talking about this that I was like, for the sake of curiosity, I was thinking about getting a Founders Edition. As more information has come out, I was like, no, I can't like as hype as I am for that service or just my curiosity to see what it is, I can't even justify to myself getting that $130 Founders thing. Because what am I going to do with it?
It disappointed you now. It's like the crib waking up on Christmas. There's no presents.
Like,
I see why you're hurt. It's justified.
Like the biggest game that Stadia has at their launch at this point is all the new stuff from Destiny 2, a game that I stopped playing months ago.
Exactly. They have nothing.
And it doesn't even give you all the expansions.
No, it does.
Like
it does.
The Witcher on the Switch. It's like, why do I care? It's like,
well, I mean, at least that's giving you the option to take it on the go, which you couldn't do with any of the other ones, right? So that's one thing.
Half the graphics, but yeah, you're right.
Half the graphics.
It's like,
but it's something.
You got
I mean, that's something,
Witcher,
yeah.
64-bit Witcher, HD quality to 64 bits.
Yo, if they cross those servers over, don't be on my team playing on the Switch. I promise you. I'll kill you myself and get top eliminations. Like
top eliminations. But it's like, no, I get you. It's like you have to have something to draw people in. You needed something big. Like Phantasy Star Online, that's not coming out until like the end of next year, but I'm excited about it. I'm waiting for it. I'm
we only saw what a minute
the trailer? Yeah, like a 2-minute trailer. They needed something like that, something to pull people in. And once you got them in, then you can start releasing some of those third parties because they're still playing that exclusive that you just introduced for like, if it's good, for a couple of months. Then you start to introduce DLC and third party games as they're coming out. Reintroducing stuff from the past or porting it over doesn't necessarily bring revenue.
And honestly, that's early on, like when the Switch first came out, that's kind of what they were doing.
Yep.
And I felt the same way. I didn't buy a Switch at launch. It wasn't until it wasn't until I started seeing, Smash is coming. What is it? Mario Odyssey is out.
You love ARMS.
He said ARMS.
ARMS.
ARMS and legs, baby. Gotta get legs too.
Like new Bayonetta was, supposed to be coming. Like all the stuff that I can only get there. That's when I was like, okay, maybe I'll see what the Switch is about. Because if Google is appealing to an audience that already exists, they have game consoles. Someone who doesn't play video games, they're not going to be early adopters of whatever Stadia is. They're not going to choose to play Destiny 2 for the first time ever
on
Google Stadia.
No.
Like,
yeah.
Because when there's 10 people online and none of them don't like you, it's just like, what am I supposed to do?
Don't like you. And I don't get that most people who are going to get a Stadia who got a Switch already have existing consoles. So you have to put something out. So like when I got a PlayStation, it was to play the exclusives. God of War, Spider-Man, Horizon Zero Dawn, Neo. It was to play those things that I could only get on that platform.
You got to get them to the ecosystem with exclusives, and then keep them there by being on par with everything else.
I'll say I'm afraid for the Stadia, because once they jump in this water, You can't jump out.
You can't jump out.
I mean,
get
Google
out.
is notorious for like leaving things behind that don't work.
You'll be butt naked in the tub, and you can't get out.
But
You understand?
I do hope things turn around. Like I don't expect them to like take the world by storm immediately. But this just seems like they're starting
Really lazy launch.
They're
I
a
think
lap
they're
behind at the start.
They're coming out too early. I feel like they should have waited.
They should have.
They should have waited
They
a
should've.
little bit.
I wonder why they chose now to be like, yo, we got to tell the folks about this now.
I don't know. I wish I knew.
What was the opportunity that
Maybe because
marketing-
it's at the end of the life of some of the current gens.
Oh, so they're trying to jump on.
I don't know, maybe because next year it's going to be.
Yeah, next
It's
year is
gonna
going to
be
be
a
all
heavy
about.
year.
Yeah, it's going to be
Yeah.
all about the new consoles. By holiday season next year, we're going to have new consoles in the market.
Yeah.
It's
So
fucking crazy. That's so crazy.
So, speaking of disappointment, Fallout 76. So recently,
right into there.
Bethesda has announced a new paid service
Woof, for your
called
favorite
Fallout
game.
First that allows you to pay $100 a
Yes.
year, $100 a
So
year,
happy they did this.
to get private servers for your Fallout sessions. And mind you, private servers, like paid private servers, they're not a new thing. That's a thing that even exists in Minecraft. Like what's the word? It's a consistent world, you know? It's not like it's not like a P2P thing where you start a custom game and everyone jumps in and then that game disappears when everybody leaves. Like anyone can just log back into it and all that stuff stays there. So it makes sense that you would have to pay to maintain that, right? But the very last thing that the devs said about Fallout 76 was that all of their services going forward would be free. For the people who pay for the game. Then they came out and said, you know what? We can't do that. Sorry. Here's $100 a year service that gives you access to private servers. And then a couple other things that I couldn't even be bothered to read about because I don't care about Fallout 76. Who's still playing that game? Do those people want this?
So, and the article that we read on Forbes kind of highlighted it just perfectly, right? It's $100 a year, or, right, the more expensive option is $12.99 a month. That is more than your Netflix subscription. That's more than your Hulu subscription.
It's more than Game Pass.
It's more than Game Pass. Well, no, Game Pass itself is what, like $10?
Yeah, like $10
but
a
with
month.
gold, it's 15.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's almost Game Pass alone.
And what are you getting for it? Like
exactly.
Fallout 76 would need to be literally the only game you're playing for this
on a
to
regular
make
basis,
sense.
and your friends got to be playing with you.
Yes, because the private servers only hold 8 people max.
Yo, and so when I was reading this, I was thinking like, okay, what if me and my friends all put in for the $100 a year, you know? And I'm thinking
probably viable.
We have a good community of like probably 15 active players on a regular basis, plus other people jumping in and out. If let's say just 10 of us said $10, we get this server for us for the year, it'll be super cool. Okay, yeah, but you can't even have 10 people in there.
Right.
You gotta rotate in and out. All right, you had your hour.
Hey, yo,
my turn.
I paid, so it's my turn. You need to get off
My
mine.
turn now.
It's just ridiculous. It's just the latest thing from this struggling game. Like,
hey guys, I know you're struggling with the game, but look, just give us some more money. We promise it's gonna be.
It seems like a desperate grasp for more money.
cash.
Like they're just low on money.
Anybody buying that has got familial ties to the Fallout team, or there's some kind of outside incentive.
I can't see why even hardcore players would want to do this.
Exactly.
And then hopefully this is to me it's a bad sign. Like you said, they're grabbing for money. Like I'm hoping there's no we're gonna have to file for bankruptcy type situation going on. And that's what I mean. You need to sprinkle out the games that you're not sure about with some of the games that you know are going to sell. You got to sprinkle those in there so that way some
Confuse the
you
buyer.
can offset. Yeah, you can offset. you can offset some of that loss. You know what I mean? To wit, and so you don't have like such a track record of bad games that just came out. You got to sprinkle it in there. You just got to. You got to have some good with some maybes. You know what I mean?
Going back to the stuff with the games being delayed, maybe that's what they were doing, and then Doom got delayed. You know?
Well, no. What if they're trying to see how much money they're going to make from the subscription, so they can then pay for the rest of those games? You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you got to rob Peter to pay Paul. It's like, okay, let's see how much you're going to get in, so we can see how much we can put towards this game, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do.
I don't know. That timeline seems a little tight to me, but I don't know. I guess it's possible.
Yo, so some of the features that they're saying you can get with this, right? You have a scrap box, unlimited storage for crafting components in your own new scrap box container. Okay. Survival tent, a new placeable fast travel point with a stash, sleeping bag, and more for your basic needs.
So like fast travel is in there?
Yeah, but you get to put it where you want.
Okay.
Atoms. Receive 1,650 atoms per month to use in the Atomic Shop. I'm guessing that's their
like in-game
premium currency.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, let me tell you something. If I pay for
Wait, I'm sorry. Was
stuff,
that it? Was that the end of the list?
Oh yeah. I'm sorry. I should have. Oh, you know what? There's two more. I had to scroll past the ad. Ranger armor outfit. A iconic Fallout outfit exclusively for members. Icons and emotes pack, the most important one of them all. Unique icons and emotes available only to members.
For $100.
This is what you're buying for $100 a year or $12.99 a month. Yeah, $12.99. Let's 13 to say $12.99 a month.
$13 a month.
I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say $12.99. Honestly, because they need all the good press they can get. At $13, that's what I'm getting.
Like, I think in the Xbox chat that we're all in, I think there's maybe one person who still will routinely talk about playing Fallout 76. I'm very curious how that person feels about this. Like, if they have any interest in this at all.
Maybe they bought it. Maybe they spent that $100.
But like, who's he gonna play with?
He's gonna have his own world.
Just your own world.
That's the thing. Like, if you're playing by yourself, you might as well just buy Fallout 4 and play by yourself.
Right. There's no need for this game.
You got all the mods and stuff. You can do whatever you want.
Everything.
Or play the brand new Fallout game, Outer Worlds. Like,
Outer Worlds.
No, man. Like, okay, yeah, it's super close. I can't even defend Outer Worlds so much, but I like it a lot more than Fallout 4. It's so weird. This thing is just getting into my head. But yeah, man, like they wild for this. That's a bold move.
It's craziness.
It is.
Pure craziness.
So an already struggling game, let's put a subscription on it.
After we're not gonna charge y'all for nothing more.
All right, so that's us venting about more Fallout 76 nonsense. We're gonna do mailbag. This is carryover from last week. Snix360 still coming through with the questions. He asks, I recently got into Berserk's animated The Golden Age arc movies. There are 3 in total via Netflix. I remember being introduced to this franchise years ago when I played and enjoyed Sword of the Berserk, Guts' Rage on the Sega Dreamcast. Never heard of that game. Have you guys
watch him play it?
Oh, you did? Okay. Have you guys even watched these Berserk movies? And if so, what do you think of them? I personally have not. I've not watched any Berserk media. I know what it is. I haven't watched any of it. Have you guys?
I have. I watched all 3 movies.
So did I.
And I watched the anime.
So he wants to know what you guys think.
Haven't finished it.
Well, you go.
Jeff, you want to? Okay, I got it. Okay. So, the Berserk movies. They're probably the first anime where I really enjoyed the 3D 2D mix. Those movies are great. I think they're awesome. Just a heads up to anybody who's thinking about watching them. The very last movie gets very gruesome. And there's trigger warnings there.
That's kind of part of the reason why I don't want to watch the Berserk movies.
That
like, I'm kind of adverse to gory, like unnecessary gore. Like,
I don't think it was unnecessary, but it was definitely gory.
Yeah, some of us just showed a descent in which The one the
Antagonist.
antagonist was kind of going into, like
Mhm.
how far he like sunk to
Yeah.
achieve what he was trying to achieve. So some of it's is definitely necessary, and it does give you that impression.
Yeah, you hate the antagonist at that point, and you never really like, you feel sorry for him because it's more of an origin story, and you feel sorry for the antagonist initially, and then you're just like, oh no, now you wow, now you doing way too much, man. Way
Like,
too much.
you passed
bad,
redemption.
disrespectful.
Yep.
Yeah, you passed, like, you got your revenge for stuff. Now you just doing extra stuff. It's really funny. When I first watched them, I was on deployment back in 2014, I want to say. And someone brought it on a hard drive, and we watched it. And I'm like, yo, these are crazy. And on our way back into deployment, they have this thing called a Tiger Cruise, where I was stationed in San Diego. So we stop at Hawaii. You can have family members come to Hawaii, get on the ship, and sail back in with you into San Diego, right? My brother joined us on the Tiger Cruise, and he was kind of seeing, what our everyday life was. I think they spent 10 days on board. And I was like, yeah, man, sometimes we just sit in this office watching anime. You should watch this one that I just watched, Berserk. It's super cool. And I totally forgot about the ending. So my younger brother, now he's not that much younger than me, but my younger brother is watching the first two movies. And he's like, yo, this is great. This is pretty cool. And then he watches the third one. He's like, bro, you could have warned me. That was disgusting. He's like, his face was just like, what did I just watch? And I feel so bad for not warning him. I was like, yo, the end of that is very gruesome, very trigger warning, but I think it's a good series, and it's a great origin story to the anime that happens afterwards. They set up everything pretty well. Like I said, it was my first time enjoying the blend of 2D, 3D animation in anime.
Okay. Wait, that one you're talking about is the Netflix one? Like the new one? Because I
Yeah.
know that there was like a new
Golden
show,
Age.
right?
Oh, Jeff, you
Yeah,
are
I'm not hearing you.
muted.
My bad. So there are no new movies. The movies just got poured over to
Yeah, they got-
Netflix.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But there is an anime that is a continuation of the movies,
Okay, so all that stuff's on Netflix, like, as of right now.
besides the anime.
Okay.
So that's the Golden Age movies.
Yes, I forgot where I was watching the anime at.
Probably not legal.
Probably not illegal.
Probably
source.
not legal
watch
websites.
cartoonsonline.com or something, I think.
Yeah, we do not,
we don't
support
condone piracy.
piracy.
No, this
This
was
happened.
legit.
This
That's
happened a
legit
long
website.
time ago.
That's
There's
a legit illegal
There's
website.
no downloading. There's no streaming. It's legit. It has its own domain. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah,
That's why it says
that's
property
not
of
what
blah,
that
blah, blah
means.
studios at the
That's
bottom
not
of
what that
it.
means. But yeah,
no,
what's your take on the
No, I
franchise?
agree. I think the movies told a great story. You got to understand the character Guts. And when I was watching, I never knew it was anime because I did used to watch Snicks play the Berserker game on the Dreamcast. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he would get his Berserk mode and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then years later, I saw the movie. I was like, oh, this is actually an anime. And he goes through the movies. And I mean, the anime
Fights
does.
are real cool.
They are. Like, especially the ones in the anime. They like, when he actually gets his new form.
Yeah.
That was actually pretty cool. So I would definitely recommend it to people. But like Blue said, that third movie does
gotta
have
brace
some
yourself.
darker images that you need to be ready for. I'm talking about like sexual and blood and whatnot. So just be aware of that going into it.
But if you
Yeah.
can stomach it, it's worth your time.
I probably can't stomach it.
You can stomach. You watch Human Centipede. You can stomach
I
that.
definitely did not
Yeah.
watch Human Centipede for that
did.
exact reason. Like, I know what goes on in that movie. It's not for me.
I watched that movie, y'all. I watched that movie.
I started it was like, this is not for me. No thank you.
Yo, that's what I did too. I started watching. I'm like, this is not for me. But
I can't.
hold on, how they gonna get up? Oh, this girl's stupid.
Yeah, I can't do it. Like, what do they call it? Like gore porn? Is that the term?
Ooh, I don't like that. Mm-mm.
That, like,
that makes
that-
me feel weird.
Is that like
Is that the term?
X-rated Tokyo Ghoul?
No, I might have the term wrong. But like, there's a whole genre of this kind of media of where they just over the top gore, and I just don't see the appeal. Like there's a TV show called Tokyo Gore Police or something. Have you ever heard of this?
Oh.
No, it's like a live action Japanese show, I think. And it's like Power Rangers, but like they just use all sorts of like gory special effects, I think. Like it's just super
Is it like
over the
that
top.
Movie, Ninja Assassin?
Ninja Scroll?
I did see that. Yeah,
No,
Assassin.
Ninja
Oh,
The
I did
movie.
watch Ninja Assassin. I like Ninja Assassin. Ninja Assassin's not over
It
the
was
top.
good.
No,
It
okay,
was.
okay. Hold on. It's over the top. It's not unnecessarily gory. Do you get what
There
I
was
mean?
blood legit
Yeah, I get you.
everywhere.
But like blood everywhere is not the problem. Like I'm talking about stuff where like, oh, I'm gonna
Guts.
put my hand in, I've ripped out your intestine, and then I choked you with the intestine, and then the intestine is like on the back of my ear. Like it's like just unnecessary.
Or like pooping in your mouth, stuff like that.
Oh no, that's not.
He's talking about Human Centipede.
That's Human Centipede. That was just not cool.
Oh, I'm thinking about it now.
All right. I think we're
The
gonna
one in
just
the middle was like,
we're just gonna move on from it.
The one on the end had it the worst.
yo, did you see
Oh,
Key and
brother.
Peele's skit about that?
Yeah, I did.
I
Key and Peele had
I
a
don't
skit
think I did.
about the Human Centipede survivors, and they called each other.
Oh,
like,
I did see
"Hey,
this."
Middle guy.
yeah, there was like a support group.
He's like, bro, I left that life behind him. Nah, come on, man, you can eat this curry. I know you like curry. Like, it was
Oh dang!
terrible.
Oh my god.
All
So
right,
yeah, we're gonna
that's- yeah,
pretend that
that's
conversation
about
didn't happen.
it.
And we're gonna go to our top 3 this week. Top 3 games that you most regret buying. Does anybody want to go first? Because I don't actually have. Well, actually, I have 3, but I'll just go first. You guys are okay with that?
Go ahead.
All right. So my first one. This is gonna sound weird, but Mortal Kombat 10.
What?
I like the Mortal Kombat series. I've loved it since I was a kid. But Mortal Kombat 10, I played through the story, played maybe a couple of online matches, and then never touched the game again.
That's sad. I'm sorry.
So
that
your
you
second
regret
one's
that.
Soul Calibur, the new one?
No, because like the amount of time I spent playing Soul Calibur 6 was way more than I ever spent playing Mortal Kombat. Honestly, like I played through the MK10 story, and I liked it a whole lot. I thought it was great. But
It
then,
was good.
yeah, after that, like I bought that game brand new, like $60. Like
Oh, yeah.
I just didn't get my money's worth out of it at all. So, which is
Dang.
the main reason why when MK11 came out, I watched all the cutscenes on the internet because I really
It's
do
a
like that
good
series.
story.
I like the story and everything, but I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to play this game enough to justify me paying for it at this point. Maybe if it's super cheap or maybe it shows up on Game Pass, I'll definitely hop in there, you know?
Yeah.
But MK10, I definitely regretted paying for that up front because Mortal Kombat games, I just don't get the mileage out of it like I used to. Like I played Mortal Kombat 2 for years and years and years and years. But
Man.
not anymore. My second one, Custom Robo on the GameCube. Do you remember this game?
I
Bro,
do.
that game was good.
That game was not
That was
good.
fun.
That game was
That
not
game was
good.
fun.
It was not fun. That game let me
It
down.
was-
It had the
The idea was
dopest.
good.
Yeah, matter of fact, I should have actually remembered this when we did our top game trailers because the trailer for Custom Robo is hype as hell. I was so sold on that game from the trailer, and then when it came out and it was like this stupid little box where you see both characters the whole time and you like that game felt and played so trashy. Like after like less than a week, I was like, I don't like this at all. I was very disappointed.
Man.
Especially since during that time we were super hooked on this game called Gotcha Force, where like you played with like a bunch of little
Yeah.
robots, like toy-like characters, and like you had this super massive arena, like you had like third person behind the back control over them, and like everything felt unique. I thought that Custom Robo would be like that, but you could build the character, like you could kind of customize their movesets or something, which is something I wanted in Gotcha Force, and so I was just wildly disappointed when I actually played that game. And Nintendo must have felt it too because they never released another one after that. So
Wait, no, they put Custom Robo on. Did they put it on the DS?
not that I know of.
No.
I don't
hold
remember
on.
that.
They had a mobile version somewhere.
Yeah,
I'm
I don't
gonna
know.
find it. But go
Maybe
ahead.
that was
Go
on.
ahead.
Maybe it was on Virtual Boy.
You're probably right.
So, my third one. Weirdly enough, I'm not like the biggest sports fan. Like I never have been, but I did used to play a lot of sports video games. I used to play all the old NBA Lives, some of the 2Ks, the early ones. I used to play all the Maddens, and then I bought Quarterback Club, which is not Madden at all.
That?
It was a N64 era football franchise. I think there were other ones. I can't remember what year this one was, but I was trying to find a new football game, and Quarterback Club was trying to be a simulation. So like back then, Madden wasn't as simulation heavy as it is now. Quarterback Club was supposed to be that, and it wasn't a fun game because like
Really?
to do anything was super hard. Like back in the day, you would pass in Madden, and like your receivers would just catch the ball. In Quarterback Club, you had to press the catch button.
Oh,
What?
wow.
I don't know if you have to do that in Madden nowadays,
It just makes it easier.
but it was everything was
Easier
just
to
had
catch.
like coming from Madden to Quarterback Club back then. Everything just had way more steps than it needed because they were trying to make it feel more, I don't know, like more real, I guess.
I can see that.
They even had a and I think Madden did do this later on too. They had a first person view when you're like the quarterback in that game, where you could like look around and like try to throw the ball. Unplayable in that way. You can't play the game in first person. Like you don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
So I was, and back in those days, like you have to convince your parent to like get the games for you. So when you do that, you're stuck with it. You play it a bunch anyway, but like I just never had fun actually playing that game. So those are my three. Blue, Jeff, who wants to go next?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Okay, so this was a tough one for me.
Yeah.
Because you've never
but
regretted a
there
game
are
purchase before.
Some that stick out. What'd you say?
I say because you've never regretted a game purchase before in your life.
So Shadowrun.
Okay, yeah, I definitely see that.
You
Yeah.
paid for that?
I paid for that. I got it on release day.
Ouch.
And I was working at Short Hills Mall at the time, so the guy at GameStop went and picked it up, and couldn't find a match. There was no.
Yeah, there was no one
campaign.
playing that game.
Yeah, there was no one playing. There was no campaign, so there wasn't like I can go to the campaign or whatever. It had a great idea. You had magic mixed with technology. You had some elves, some dwarves, some I think they were orcs or something. There were melee weapons. Had some great ideas going on there, but I couldn't find a match. So
That's
luckily, the guy at
sad.
GameStop was like, "Hey, if you can't find a match by tomorrow, just bring it back and I'll refund it for you." So he bought it out and he refunded
That's
it.
clutch.
super nice.
Yeah, that's clutch.
That's
Yeah,
the
'cause
human element that we're missing in the
it is.
game retail
Exactly.
industry
So
right now.
I always bought my games from there. But anyway, that was the one game because it was just like I couldn't
You're
play
like,
the game.
the game could have been good. Who knows? Because
Yeah.
you couldn't.
Who knows?
You could not
I never
play an
found
actual
out.
match in it.
Yeah.
Like
The next one is
there was a demo that
Okay.
came out for it. That's what I played because I didn't
Yes,
go
I
buy.
played the demo.
Yeah, I didn't go buy the
Yeah.
game. But I
I played
think
the
there were
demo, and
people
the
in the
demo was
demo.
good.
Yeah, there were people in the demo for a little bit.
yeah.
So I played that, but
Could not find a match. But it did play very well. The magic, the melee weapons, they were pretty cool.
they should try that again.
Even in like the practice mode, but there was no campaign. So even
yeah, you
if I
couldn't
couldn't
do
find a
anything.
match,
You couldn't
I
do
couldn't
anything
play
in
the
it.
campaign. So it was like, what am I going to do? Next one's going to be
Overwatch
Fallout. Yeah,
Right.
I'm just going to run around as Reinhardt, just trying to destroy inanimate objects that can't be destroyed. You know what I mean? Just like, you hit it, it's a scratch, and a couple seconds later, the scratch is gone. So it's like,
man,
what's the
that's
point?
heavy.
Next is going to be Fallout 5. Not Fallout 5. I'm sorry, Far Cry 5.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Actually, yeah, I bought that game too. That was terrible.
Yeah, I bought it at $60 too. It was a birthday
Ugh.
present. It was I didn't buy it, but it was.
I was about to say,
Oh,
you
somebody
bought
got
your
it for you.
birthday
It was a birthday present, and they're like, "Well, which game do you want?" And I'm like, Fallout 5."
I think I
mean, Far
remember
Cry
you were
5.
like asking, "Oh, should I get
Yeah, I was
this or
asking-
something
yeah.
else?"
And I was just like, I ended up on that, and I think I played 10 minutes of the game. It might not be a bad game,
Mhm.
but
You,
It
just
just
you
didn't
weren't feeling it.
pull me in because there's so many games I need to go back and finish, and so many games I have that I need to play, that I couldn't justify going back and spending more time on that game. Usually the games that get me to spend more time on them are the ones that they suck me in. There's some type of multiplayer aspect to it, because then I can do better than my friends. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I'm all about that. I'm all about being stronger and making sure my character or my hunter is well prepared for combat, so that he makes somebody else's hunter looks like they shouldn't have became a hunter. You know what I mean?
I mean,
I
I know
understand the
what you mean.
competitiveness.
So it's weird
Oh,
because
you know what
you've
I mean.
never achieved
I
that.
feel like
before.
there's some subtext there, but
Some
I
subtext.
agree in general. You should be competitive. You should try to be the best, just like
But
Ash Ketchum.
And in the single player game, I need to feel immersed. Like the story wasn't bad in the beginning, but it didn't suck me in. You know what I mean? Like when the multiplayer game, when I first start, it needs to be immersive. That story, those cutscenes, it need to suck me in, and then the combat needs to be fun. Then you can open it up and let me do whatever I want. But now I'm sucked into the world. I'm invested in it. Now I can go and kind of make up my own narrative for what I'm going to do. I mean, it's not a bad game. The shooting is cool. The weapons are pretty cool. It just, at the time, it wasn't the best game I was playing at the time.
Yeah.
Now,
I feel you.
the third one is a bit of a conundrum.
I wonder if I'm surprised y'all didn't choose any of the games I chose so far.
All right.
Because I love this game, but I also hate this game.
Okay.
And it kind of breaks my heart to say this. But it's probably going to be Anthem.
I knew you were gonna say that.
I
knew it.
I suspected it,
I knew you.
but I didn't know if he would admit it.
I love that game.
Mm-hmm.
I paid for EA Access just to play that game a few days before.
Oh no.
And I loved it up until the end game. There were some things I had to overlook throughout the story. I mean, the characters. I like the characters. I like the world. I like
love the story.
I like the traversing the terrain. I like almost every aspect of the game, except for a few things. Obviously, I don't like the variation. I don't think the enemies are they don't make an impression.
Yeah, that's the first thing I picked up on when we were playing. What were we playing? The beta. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like the fights seem like very generic. Like you're just shooting into like the air for the most part, and that's all you're doing. It's flying back and forth, just shooting at nothing.
And I could overlook that, but there needs to be more. Like for me, Diablo. I always any type of looter shooter I always compare to Diablo. Diablo has their cannon fodder type enemies, but they also have those unique enemies. Each, you know what I mean? So like there were the different, factions of enemies. I want to see more unique enemies. You know what I mean? Like they
more than like 3 or 4 bosses.
Yeah, it was like, and then like you had like bosses, and you had mini bosses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And even though Anthem feels like an open world game,
it is not.
It is not.
One
and also
cage.
the end game, it was like, okay, the strongholds are supposed to be like their equivalent to the raid type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But once you did those, that was it. You just keep farming, and then the drop rates weren't that great. Yeah, and then it was like there wasn't enough weapons or items. There wasn't enough item pool. You know what I mean?
Just
in
overall,
order for me to go,
it just kept
in order for me to go back,
letting you down.
And I wanted to like it. I mean,
Yeah,
I always believe.
I was super high. I wanted Anthem to be a better Destiny.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
I really wanted
hyped
that. I'm still waiting for that.
And that's probably one of the trailers I should have mentioned last week. You know what I mean? As
the Anthem trailer?
Yeah.
Honorable mention.
Yeah. And see, Destiny is one of my favorite games. It always will be.
Yeah.
I love Destiny. If there were certain things that were fixed, I could go back and play Destiny again. Because even then, I find myself wanting to go
see
back
what's
and play.
new, right?
Get on that grind.
Yeah. And
that
if I
Destiny
didn't have
grind
to
is
go
nice.
back and pay for the DLCs now, I would be more inclined to go back and pay for it. I mean,
Yeah,
I would go back to play it.
Yeah,
But, like,
if those become free in the future,
yeah.
I might.
I'm like a few DLCs behind. I'm like, because I used to play Destiny, and I mean, this is a little sidetrack, but I used to play Destiny to the point where anytime a new DLC or a raid came out,
you was on it.
I took off that day.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember trying to beat Crota from like Not 8 o'clock in the morning until like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, Destiny was the wave for some time.
Yes.
And they brought the moon back in
Destiny
this new
wasn't
thing.
everything they promised, but they evolved and got better.
They definitely did.
And Anthem isn't doing that. I'm kind of thinking they gave up on Anthem.
I feel like they did too.
EA has done that very thing before, like just kind of giving up on franchises when they don't start out well. They just go, all right, well, forget it. We'll cut our losses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be my top 3. RIP.
Okay, for me, right? I'm really surprised that we had no crossovers.
What you got?
But my first one, Sigma, this one might hit you too, but I feel like Soul Calibur 6 was a waste of my money.
See, I don't feel that way.
$6. The story was absolute crap.
I'm not gonna argue with that.
The story was absolute crap. Not even a good cutscene in there.
Mm.
It was all still images with terrible, cheesy voiceovers.
There were like 2 or 3 cutscenes in it.
I don't even remember them. That's how.
But I get exactly where you're coming from.
Then you had a personal mode where you can make your character and then go through this whole other story, which was more interesting than the main story and still crappy.
Yeah, it was just long. Like
it was long for no reason.
Needlessly
you do
long.
The same thing over and over, and you're grinding to get some money, to get some gear that didn't really matter. No, Soul Calibur 6. Then they made the pairing way too easy. You press one button, sit there. No matter what somebody throws at you, you can throw it back. No matter what.
See, there's a little. I know why that's frustrating, but there is a little more nuance to the parrying than that.
Well, yeah, there's side steps, and then you have the rock paper scissors mechanics.
And
after.
There are attacks that do multi hits that can beat that too. Yeah,
trump that. I see that, right? But overall, in many other games that you play, many other fighting games, it is not that easy to parry. You're not just pressing one button. Anybody can jump in there and end up winning the match by accident.
I mean,
you can legit win matches by accident in that
but
game.
then the other person would have to be really bad though. Because if all your opponent's doing is parrying, and then all you're doing is hitting their parry, then because you can grab somebody out of a parry, like they won't parry.
Oh yeah,
grab.
most definitely. Actually, depends on how far you are. If you're too far away, it'll register as an attack.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because the parry starts and then it attacks. Right.
It's wild. I did love the character customization.
That's honestly why I justified the purchase of that game, because I had a ridiculous amount of fun just making characters in that game.
I remember the first week you and I were going back and forth, like, "Yo, check out what I did with this. Check out what I did with this." Yeah, you made Grandpa right
from Granddad from Boondocks.
From Boondocks. That's super cool. You know what I mean?
Like I think about going back to do more stuff in that game from time to time too. And I have actually gone back and played like if I want to play something and I'm in a rush, I'll go online in Soul Calibur 6 sometimes and just fight online. And Adam plays that game too, so it's one of the games that I'll put him in front of when he wants to play like a fighting game. So like I feel like I got my money's worth out of it, but I completely understand because that's exactly how I felt about MK10. Like I just didn't touch it again after the one thing I liked in it.
So, yeah, Soul Calibur 6 was a waste of money to me, unfortunately. And I love the Soul Calibur series. I think that's why it hit me so hard. I loved 4. I think 4 was probably the best one.
Yeah,
I actually liked 5,
more than
though a lot of people didn't. Right?
That one was like PS4 exclusive. That's the only reason I didn't play it. Not 4, PS3 exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't play it because I didn't have a PS3 at the time.
Yeah, that one was great. And then 6 was just a major flop, in my opinion. The new characters weren't interesting. They weren't interesting to me. Like in 5, they were like descendants of the old characters. And that was super cool. You know what I mean? It's like a whole nother generation. Yeah, cool. And then they just like, forget that generation. Let's go ahead.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, 5 wasn't exclusive. That was 3. I'm thinking of.
That was 3.
Yeah, 3 was exclusive to PlayStation. Yeah, 5 I played, and I didn't like that at all either.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't like it. I enjoyed it personally, but 6 was a huge letdown for me. So maybe I just got the letdown of 5 on top of 6.
I mean, just let me know if you want to play some Soul Calibur 6. I'll hop back on it.
The next one, see, now I have 4 of them.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm trying to decide which ones make the top 3, right? Okay, this one, don't be mad, y'all. I feel like the Division 2. Honestly, as soon as you hit endgame, you get the world tier 5 or 6 or whatever it is. You know, I feel like the hormone monster in Big Mouth. What you gonna do? Like,
the raid was very disappointing.
Stupid impossible.
Yeah, it wasn't balanced very well.
It was so difficult to get into it with people that
it was
you
hard
knew.
to
Like,
it was hard to coordinate folks to do it.
There is nothing pulling me back into Division 2 right now. Not one thing.
But I mean, that game was like what 35, 40 hours to get to the point to where we stopped. I feel like that was enough for me.
It was cool getting to the World Tier 5.
Yeah,
but
like I enjoyed
also,
that whole journey up until when I stopped playing.
it was repetitive. It was very repetitive, and I had a good time coordinating with friends. But it's just by the end of it, the story was crap, and we all know
The story was garbage.
Yeah, the story was very terrible. Pretty much it was like move into one room, find out how you're gonna get around this cover and kill that dude behind the turret or whatever, or target this gold boss and move around. All right, then you go to the next room. There's a hallway with ammo. Next room, hallway, ammo. Next room, hallway, ammo. That's what the game was, like almost 100%. And it wasn't fun enough for me to pay $60+ for that.
I understand.
Yeah.
I feel differently, but I definitely understand.
I feel you. These are my regrets. Last but not least, I'm sure you guys will agree with me on this one. Fortnite.
I didn't pay for
Fortnite.
I paid for
You
Fortnite.
got it for free.
Oh, wow.
I paid for Fortnite. And I'm still salty about it.
I get it.
I'm not going
That would make
to let go
sense.
of that hate.
And they like abandoned like the single player. I mean,
They-
well, like that.
Damn.
They did.
It was terrible how much services decreased once Battle Royale came out. And so I was like, you know what? I'm not playing this game. Let me just return it. You know, maybe get some money back from GameStop. When you bought it initially, that was the demo. You cannot return a demo. Or not a beta.
Oh, it was a beta. Yeah, it was in it was in beta state when you.
Yeah.
Oh, you actually had a disc.
Fam, I had the disc.
Damn.
Because me,
Super regret.
Jeff and I had a friend. It was Jeff's online friend or whatever, who was interested in Fortnite, and I guess he didn't have any other people to play with. The game gives you like free vouchers, like for 2 people.
Yeah, it did.
When you buy that founders thing. So he gave it to Jeff and then gave it to me. So that's how we got into it, and we played around in it for a very small amount of time.
I remember playing with y'all a little
Yeah,
bit too.
yeah. You played with us too early on, and we were like, yeah, I see what. As a matter of fact, I reviewed that first version of the game. Back when I was doing lag videos, and I'm like, I see where this is going. It needs a lot of work. Like if they spend some time, and they're calling it a beta. If they spend some time fleshing this stuff out, it could be fun. They said, forget this.
Battle Royale.
Yeah, they're like, forget this. We're gonna do this over here, and apparently that was the right call because it's the biggest game in the world right now. So
I'm not knocking their business model. I'm saying I got played.
You got
I'm
left
saying.
behind.
right, and you're extra salty because the version that is the biggest game in the world, no one has to pay for it. Like it was free.
Yeah, exactly. So I funded
How much did you
that
pay
crap.
for it?
Yeah,
What's
you
that?
basically gave the money for
How
it.
much did you pay?
$60.
Oh man, you won.
On what?
You won like the worst video.
Regret. Super regret. Yeah.
like,
Like, bow down. That is definitely the most regretful.
Oh man. Honorable mention to State of Decay 2.
Right? Yeah. Honestly,
Multiple
yeah.
versions of that.
I got my time out of it.
I really didn't like the game. All I was hearing was good things about it, and then when we played it, I'm like, this isn't. I
I'm
don't
not
like
attached
anything
to
about
one
this.
character. I'm not attached to one character. The shooting was off.
Yeah,
It was
everything's
just
like that game
really-
just feels undercooked.
It was like
if they made
Yo,
a
it
zombie
was
game
like-
in the PUBG engine.
it was like PUBG. Right?
Right.
It felt like PUBG with scarce amount of zombies and random people who might want to kill you, and then you don't really get to play as your own character. You don't have a character. You have a community that you kind of
You're supposed to like
switch through.
manage it.
And when your friends join, your friends don't really get a whole bunch of progress. So everyone has to work on everyone else's world. It was just
like that
Yeah.
concept is very strong, but the execution is terrible. So And- what is that? Not Lab Zero. Undead Labs, I think. Right? Those are
you
the
saying
devs?
for
Who made State of Decay? Because
State of Decay.
Microsoft just bought them. Like that's one of their studios.
'Cause
Now,
I felt like you should have been able to create your character
Mhm.
and then collect people that have these different abilities
be
to
the
work
leader.
in your settlement and travel with you and that type of stuff. And then for it to be a little bit more open, you know what I mean?
you didn't
I
even
mean, it is-
create a character in this game.
it
and
is
that's
open.
The, you know,
you had to
you
pick
choose
between-
like
you
5 or 6 different people.
yeah, you
Yeah.
start from a preset, but then there are other characters who can
Yeah.
join you, and then you can just control them. And it seems like they all tend to have like small kind of characterizations and backstories and stuff.
And the thing is, you can play as one character till they get tired, and then you have to play as somebody else because your character needs to sleep. I was just like, what?
See, I feel like all that is actually interesting. Like, honestly, Watch Dogs Legion is doing a bit of this, where like every NPC in the world can be a playable character. Like, that's kind of this is like a more
Yes.
basic version than that.
But
But-
it makes more sense in the story because you're like telling these people what to do. You're actually a person in the Watch Dogs world telling these people like, hey, I need you to go and do this, and then you control that person. That makes sense. This is just, oh, I'm one of these people. Or you're not anybody. You're not anybody in the game. That's the thing.
You're everybody.
You're everybody. I don't want to be everybody. I want to be this strong leader who gets us through the state of decay.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not the game they were making.
Mhm.
So,
It's the game they made, though.
but the thing is, the game that they made was supposed to be this kind of roguelike thing where you gather people and people are part of the resources that you use to try and get through the world. But none of that was fun. That's my problem with it. Like, I didn't think that the management stuff, the moment-to-moment gameplay, the story that they told, I didn't think that any of it was interesting or fun. So I didn't want to go back to it. And all I heard was positive stuff. So maybe it's just me. But because the game is popular. Apparently it did good. Like, they got bought by Microsoft for the work they've done.
Yep.
But it's just not me. Like, I expected so much more from what that premise is.
They just added character customization last month.
Well, I mean, so the world's still going. Maybe people are still enjoying it.
There's always people enjoying dumb stuff.
I can't argue with that.
That's what I'm gonna close with.
Okay. So, that's going to do it for top 3.
Ayo.
We're going to do our sign-offs, and then we're going to go into our Joker discussion. So do not leave if you're going to be here for that. But if not, go watch Joker and then come back and then join us. But, Jeff, where can people find you?
Hey.
So you can find me at Superman Jeff 12 Plays on Facebook, and you can find me on Superman Jeff 12 on Mixer. Also, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that way you get notified when we post new content. As he said, this is episode 22, so there are 21 more episodes that you could be checking out.
That you could be
Go
checking
ahead
out.
and do that.
So
And
watch them. Listen to
Blue,
them.
where can people find you?
Find me. It's your boy Blue Bones, BLUB0NES. You can find me on Mixer at Blue Bones XB as an Xbox. I normally do my Wakanda Forever, you know. Yep, that's what's up. I'm also on Facebook, Play with Blue Bones. You can see our schedules posted up there, and you can see all little gaming news that I share. And I'm a little bit more active on Twitter now. So tweet, ya boy. BLUB
Tweet your
0
boy.
NES. It's your boy, that's right. And Sigma, where can they find you?
I'm pretty much on all social media at Sigma Gears 9. You
Get
can
'em.
find me on Facebook at Sigma and Sun. I am going to start streaming more with Starboy when I get some time because been really busy these past couple of days doing all sorts of random nonsense like 3-minute reviews on the Escapist YouTube channel, so definitely hit that up and check that out. Please head over to the BBETGaming channel on YouTube and subscribe. We can use the subscribers because we need to get that custom domain and we need to get
That's right.
paid by monetizing. So help a
Hush
brother out.
money,
Know what I
honey.
mean? That's gonna do it for our sign-offs. But if you're here for the Joker discussion, stick around because we're gonna start in 3, 2, 1.
That's all right. I tried it.
That's funny. How do you feel about Joaquin Phoenix's laugh? Because I've read a news story about it that he created this unique laugh for the movie, and it was impactful. But
I watched a video of someone who actually had that that condition.
oh, that mental condition.
He was spot on. 100%. It's crazy. It's scary how close like he was to the actual thing.
Maybe he watched the same video.
I'm pretty sure he did. and the other videos that I watched, that was spot on. The facial expression of him trying to hold it in and just the natural smile that comes with laughing was shown thoroughly through his face and through the actual videos that I saw. I thought he did an excellent job.
Right, because you could tell, you could see in his eyes.
He wasn't trying
Yeah, he
to laugh.
wasn't. Yeah, like you could.
And he was
You could see
embarrassed.
that.
Yeah.
So, you know me, right?
Dude.
As far as the originality of it, I thought it was great. As far as the Joker's laugh, maybe mid-tier for me. But like you said, it did expressing who his character was and what he was going through. You can kind of tell from his laugh. He wanted to be happy, but he definitely was not. So on that level, I do agree. I think he did a great job with that.
I feel like he really did a great job of distincting when you can tell when he didn't want to laugh and then when he gave into it at the end. And there's a thing called smiling with your eyes. You know what I mean? And I feel like he did that more at the end of the movie when he finally gave into it. He's like, you know what? This is funny to me, so I am going to laugh about it. And yeah, I think he did a really good job splitting the difference.
So what were your overall feelings for like the movie in general? Like, you guys positive on it, negative on it?
I think it was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. A little creepy. He had a whole relationship in his head, but I thought the movie was really good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, he got me. I thought he had this much swag that he got Zazzy.
I'm like, he's out of his league. What's going on here?
The whole time that thing was going on, I watched it with my girlfriend Kia. We were sitting there looking at each other like, what? Like, this is dumb. I'm like, is this
okay? Maybe she likes quirky little, she likes quirky.
like, I was bothered by that from jump because the first thing he said, like, were you following me? And then he's like, maybe I was, or whatever
cool
he said.
it.
Yeah, I was like, huh? Like, this is dumb. So when it turned out,
I thought that was just a New York thing.
so when it turned out that it was all in his head, I honestly felt like, I mean, yes, that makes sense, but I also felt like it was cheap because, like, I never believed it. It made that whole part, that whole section of the movie where she existed as his girlfriend in it, like, it put me off of the movie in general because I'm like, this is like, why would they write this? Like, it didn't fool me into thinking that this was a thing that would happen. It bothered me so much. It was taking me out the whole time until they were like, oh, that was fake. So I'm like, I mean, of course it's fake. Duh, of course it's fake. Yeah. But, like, you didn't give me a reason not to believe that it couldn't have been fake. Because when you revealed it, it wasn't like a shock. It was like, so, okay, that's what they were doing. Yeah. That's how I felt.
I definitely, while I was surprised that she was talking to him like that, I wasn't surprised when I found out that she wasn't talking to him like that.
Right, exactly.
Like, yeah. That's how I felt.
Like when it went back and showed that she wasn't actually in those situations, I was like, Damn. Okay.
Like they halfway didn't even need to do that. Like, cause, and honestly, like in movies like Fight Club is probably the best example of this.
Yep.
You know, they
Fight
show
Club,
you
you had no idea.
Yeah, you had no idea at all. So when they show you all those scenes where you thought he was talking to somebody else, he was doing it by himself. It's like blowing your mind.
Yeah.
Here,
when he was beating himself up in the garage, bro. I
yeah,
was like,
yo, it's
holy
crazy. It's like he did
crap.
all that to himself. That's crazy. That's the vibe you get from a reveal like that. Which is why they needed to kind of lengthen it by showing you, like, look, yep, all that stuff was fake, all of it. This was like, it was never believable from the get-go. So when they did reveal it, it was kind of self-indulgent to then go back and do the Fight Club and show you, oh, he was alone there. He was alone there too. He was alone there too. Like, duh, I get it. Of course he made that up.
Good job is showing how far he kind of like it descended into madness. I think it was that he had created this whole scenario in his head, and I think towards the end it kind of makes more sense too when you figure out that his not even his biological mom. Like,
yeah, and that was also a little messy to me too. That plot line.
This was my first time seeing a bad Thomas Wayne. I thought he was like it blew my mind.
Was he bad?
Now,
though?
I know that there's.
We don't know though. Just the way he handled it was bad. But you got to think about the way. All he knows is that he attacked his son. That his mom made up these fantasies in her head, and.
But I thought they confirmed that
true.
she didn't.
No, she did. His mom was sick.
Oh, you know what? That's right. That was the last reveal, that she was sick.
Yeah.
Right? Because they kind of went back and forth whether it was true or not.
Yeah.
He got her mental records, and you kind of find out that he was abused as a kid.
Yeah,
like, she adopted a whole kid to be like, oh, this is your baby, and like, no, you adopted him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Honestly, I still think he was a jerk.
I mean, he is a jerk. He's like a rich jerk. Like the stuff that he said when he went on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, is like
poor.
awful. Like he basically called the poor clowns. They don't work hard enough to get to like all that is trash. Like that's trash rhetoric.
Super right wing.
But
and I'm coming from watching him as a saint in Gotham. Like he's an
pretty much everywhere else Thomas Wayne is built. And honestly, I preferred that depiction because
it makes Batman's
like
justice believable.
Like super altruistic billionaires, that's the anomaly. But they're freaking all over the place in DC Comics. Like that should be the weird thing, that you're a good billionaire. Like Thomas Wayne, there's no reason why he shouldn't be some sort of a jerk.
No, you're right. Especially defending them frat boys, man.
But so I was gonna say before I get into the messiness of the lineage, like the maternity stuff, I thought that it was a good idea to play on the class thing, like where it's like a rich versus the poor scenario.
Yeah.
But the way they did it, and maybe it's just me, but there were no good guys. Like the rich were assholes in the way they came across, and then the poor were like violent monsters. Like the Joker's influence on the poor
was
like
really quick.
Yeah, they didn't give any. Like the fact that he killed those 3 guys on the subway spread through the news, and it was like everybody was cool with it. If you weren't rich, they were like, great, kill all the rich people, and that's weird to me. Like,
and then they put on masks and makeup and everything.
Yeah,
like it happened over a couple of days, y'all.
Like that didn't ring as true to me.
That line was like plastered on there. It was like either you were rich or you were poor. Either you were against the rich or you were for the rich because you were rich.
Yeah, they didn't show any kind of nuance. They didn't delineate between like maybe there's an element in the city that sides with this, and they could have used Zazie Beetz to basically be that voice. Because they had, I don't know if that was one of his hallucinations, because they barely gave her anything to do outside of, this fake relationship with Joker. But she could have been someone who was like, I mean, maybe they were jerks, but killing them doesn't make anything better. Show the audience that there's an element of good in this world. Yeah, because
maybe the creator just hates New York in general. Like,
Well, there was also no backstory behind those murders. They were just dead.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, it was public knowledge that they were shitheads. You know what I'm saying? Or that they assaulted a woman that they were killed because they assaulted the lady on the subway.
Mm-hmm.
That or something like that, which kind of gave some narrative to it. Oh, they assaulted these rich guys. They can do whatever they want, so they got what they deserve.
Like,
he didn't even try to do it.
Well, there wouldn't be like a narrative. Well, there shouldn't be a narrative in a news report. It's supposed to be telling you facts. But then routinely you'd see like in bold letters on the top of the newspaper, "Kill the rich." What? What newspaper would ever print something like this?
Gotham.
Apparently.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I feel like Joaquin Phoenix did his thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the story was a little rushed. I have to say, you guys know I'm a film student right now. I loved the color schemes. Oh my goodness. I've seen some screenshots where they go through a whole color palette in one shot, and it's all in what's it, chromatical order? It's in the order of the color wheel that they're lining up some of these shots. It's gorgeous. So visually, I think they did an excellent job with their costume design and their color.
I agree with that. Like yeah. Especially some of those like riot scenes. Like there's a lot of like really cool one-off shots that come out of this movie. Like that iconic staircase scene, which they've been showing before I actually watched the movie.
Yeah.
That was also another point of disappointment for me because the music that played, why? Why did they do that? Like
I don't know.
Like, what were we at, a basketball game?
I have no idea.
I don't understand. Yeah. Why that song choice? I felt like, again, like, that pulled me out. I'm, like, wondering, like, in the era this is shot, did that song even exist? Where's that coming? Like, is that supposed to be playing in the Joker's head? Is that just playing from, like, I'm in my head, I'm thinking, like, why? Why is this happening like this?
Was there a date on the newspaper?
I don't know if they gave a date, but this...
It's supposed to be what?
Like
late
early
70s?
Yeah, late 70s, early 80s.
Early 80s, yeah. I don't know, man. I did enjoy his connection, while it was just only on his side, but his connection to the TV show hosts. I like how he kind of saw them as a father figure in his situation, and how he idolized them. I thought that was pretty believable, especially because his mom's always saying, like, yo, you're going to make the world smile, you're going to make them laugh.
Even though she herself said he wasn't funny.
Yeah. But I did enjoy that aspect of it, and when it's kind of one of those don't meet your heroes deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was terrible how they smeared him. Yeah, that was crazy.
I will say, like the most Joker-ish thing in that movie was that scene where he was with Murray Franklin. Well, other than that, like when he gives him the joke.
If you don't know,
Mm-hmm.
he was actually on a talk show. Did you watch The Dark Knight Rises?
Yes.
It's an animated movie, two animated movies where it's an older Bruce comes back, picks up the Batman mantle.
I might have. It might have been a while back.
Yeah, Joker's actually supposed to be he's supposed to be reformed. So him and his psychiatrist actually goes on a TV show, and it kind of plays out the same scenario.
Oh, really?
He ends up killing the psychiatrist and the talk show host, and I think he takes like the studio hostage or something like that.
Wow.
But I thought that scene was very affecting. Like that felt the most like the Joker that I've seen in like other media.
Yeah, the maniac.
And it's like it doesn't bother me that much since it's supposed to be an origin story. It tells you how this character gets from point A to point B. But I don't know, like for a lot of
into it.
Yeah, like like the Joker that we all know, like he is insane. But also, he's categorized in a lot of places as like being hyper sane or like super sane. Like he sees through everybody else's BS, which is why he's able to like manipulate things in such intricate ways.
And there's
none of that in this.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
He's normally like some sort of an engineering genius.
Yeah, he was
Or
either
at
a
least
chemist.
tactical
Yeah, he was either a chemist or an engineer, or like he had something.
Yeah.
Like there's something that justifies like the dark
Him
brilliance.
being a huge threat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this
Joker
guy,
is not a
he's just troubled. He's just a victim of all these other factors, and then that culminates into like a ticking time bomb, which is like one of the most problematic narratives to come out of this. Is like, if you're relating to this character at all, like if you kind of see yourself as a Joker as like all these forces beating down on you, and then it's expressed with violent, murderous rage. Like I feel like that was the thing that people were worried about being taken away from this movie, and it really doesn't do anything to quell that. You know, that is the narrative of this story. Like you can totally read that as, if you're gonna keep messing with me, you're gonna keep pushing me until the point where I break, and then it's everybody else's fault that I broke.
Exactly.
Like, you know?
And the thing is like, okay, you guys might not like it, but it works for me, so I'm gonna do it. Like that's exactly how the Joker ends up. He's like, I'm gonna do what I do because I like it.
Yeah, it's like at this point, all my options have been exhausted. They took everything from me, everything that I knew was wrong. Everyone bullied me, everyone lied to me, people took advantage of me. Now I'm this. So here you go. Now I'm just chaos in the world. Yeah, and it's you guys' fault. This is what you wrought, so you deserve it.
Honestly, I can't see this Joker going anywhere. Now, a lot of people are saying that it might be attached to the Batman movie coming out.
Yeah, they're trying to do a
not.
sequel, I've heard, right?
But that's because of, if you remember the scene with Bruce
at the end.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was another. Why did they have to show his parents die again in Joker's movie?
Like,
why did they do that again?
I hate DC fandom. I hate like most hardcore Batman fans, because you know that's what they're pulling for. Like, it's already a Joker movie. Just chill, bro. It doesn't have to do with Bruce.
Like,
it really
did
doesn't.
It again.
Well, they cemented that, like, even when he went to meet him. Like, the whole meeting him was irrelevant. It had nothing to add to the whole story, as opposed to distilling some resentment towards him. But now you have to think about it. Like, is there... Well, just to kind of form a connection, because there won't be any resentment, because he knows his mom lied. There's no his mom made it up. She was...
Yeah.
So he's messing with his family for no reason.
Except he's not. Yeah, he doesn't...
Found out.
Yeah, he at this point...
Before he found out.
Yeah, at this point, he wouldn't know
care,
now
I
guess.
you're going to know they have some type of connection, and Joker is indirectly responsible for his parents' death, you could say.
Yeah, it's just...
But
this
that
riot that started over a couple
for
days.
him to come out. If you could
yeah,
see,
he was waiting.
The guy that killed him was waiting for them to come out. He didn't target anybody else. He waited for them to come out, which means he was probably using the whole Joker craze as
a cover,
to kind of do what he needed to do.
I could see
because
that.
there was no robbery going on. There was nothing going on.
Well, wasn't there?
They were right in the streets.
I don't think that was pre-planned, because there was another person with him who was like saying like, let's go, come on, or whatever.
Oh,
or did I make that up?
Them. That's right. He saw them and he's like, oh, hold on, let me just get this real quick.
Yeah,
to me, I saw him. He was just leaning against the wall, and when he saw them come out, he was like,
yeah, like he was out there riding with everybody else, and then probably just saw some rich people and was like, all right, I'm gonna take advantage of this.
Yo, I don't know, man. I said this before on our previous podcast. Joker hype is real. I think Joaquin Phoenix did a great pre-Joker. I don't think he did a great Joker.
No, I agree. To me, it did. I think it was isolated. To me, it didn't feel like it was a great movie, but to me, it didn't feel like it was part of the Joker mythos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it,
and
to me,
one of my friends. Go ahead.
No, you're good. To me, it had nothing to do with the Joker. To me, it had everything.
The Joker that we know.
It had everything to do with a man that had a mental illness.
With
that
Arthur.
Kind of went off his rocker and kind of just said forget it and gave in to his darkest impulses.
Yeah. Granted, he wasn't getting support from society. I'm not going to say none of this. I'm not going to say he's 100% responsible for everything that happened to him. No, I'm not, you're not gonna say that. Definitely, society was killing him. You know what I mean? But yeah, one of my friends was saying, you really don't know if any of the movie happened because they showed one scene where he was like in the asylum and he was kind of like beating his head against the door, and he was in that same outfit at the end of the movie when he was kind of like talking about what happened and why he's there. So it's still, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of
I would
gray
be less
area.
receptive of that as well.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard that interpretation too, and I feel like that's a bad interpretation.
I don't
like
know. Either way,
definitely some of the movie is in his head, some of it,
right?
And I feel like they tried to let you know which parts, like like the daydream of him being on the Murray Franklin show, for example, the stuff with Zazie Beetz, and I don't know, maybe one other thing, but yeah, like most of the events that took place did take place. Like to say that none of it happened, like that's like one of those internet movie theories where like Pokemon, like all the Pokemon is Ash in a coma, or all the Rugrats babies were stillborns and Angelica made them up. Like those stupid.
I didn't hear that one.
You didn't hear that? Like people always come up, they try to make like a dark counter theory to a show, and it's always the same thing. Like everything's a dream or everyone's in a coma. Like whack.
Okay.
Get a better theory.
Yeah, but then you watch a movie like Inception and you're like,
Well, yeah, Inception does it good because they're not telling you is the whole movie a dream. They're telling you, did he make it out of the dream at the end? Like,
I feel you.
Also, taking point, he never ate. At no point in the movie did he eat anything.
who, the Joker?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a movie.
I'm just saying, like, did you see how skinny he was? Like,
You're right, yeah. But I mean,
like,
did he also use the bathroom at all?
Yeah, he did.
Did he? They showed him. They showed.
That was Thomas Wayne. Never mind.
That's true. That's very true.
I mean, it's a movie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't take stuff like I wouldn't take stuff like that as evidence of.
No, it just bothered me because of how skinny he was. Like,
So
his mom was like, "You need to eat too." Like, even though she was off her rock, she was like, "Dude, you need to eat." Like, look at you. Like, you look like the thing from Jeepers Creepers when you take your shirt off. It was just bad.
That's a direct quote from the movie. But yeah, honestly, the only way I can see this Joker working is if the next time we see him is years in the future and he got released out of jail or something like that, and he learned about tactics and engineering or chemistry or something like that in jail, and then he continues.
He was always a mastermind as far as planning and
not in this movie.
Yeah, we didn't see any of that in this.
Using his insanity to his advantage. I don't know if he was ever like. It never explained where he got the Joker gas from or anything like that.
Well, in some of his origins, he's an actual chemist. Like, didn't he work at that Ace Chemicals plant or whatever?
No. He was supposed to be a magician who.
Well, that's in one. That's the thing. Like, there's so many different ones. Like, I remember distinctly. He used to be a chemist, and that's why he can make the Joker gas. Like, it affected him. Like when he accidentally made it and whatever.
Yeah, he like OD'd on it, but he was still alive or something like that, and that's why he keeps laughing.
Yeah, and then there's the one where he was a comedian and he owed money to the mob, and Batman pushed him into a vat, and then that happened at Ace Chemicals. And
you didn't push him; he fell. You know.
No, Batman pushed him. Batman was like,
"Are you defending Batman right
now?" I'm not.
Batman was like, "Die, criminal."
Technically,
I mean, but overall, I think the movie was a good movie. I actually enjoyed it.
Was fun to watch.
But
I did thought it was it was a little over the top as far as like some of the violence and stuff. But I think I thought it was okay. But like I said, some people thought it was a little bit more grotesque. But I was happy he let the little dude live, Joe. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same here. Yeah, I didn't want to see that guy die. I thought that was hilarious though with the lock, and he's like,
yeah. He's like, Arthur.
I was so scared for him. I was sitting in the theater like, please don't kill him, please don't kill him. He was not bad to you, bro.
Exactly.
But here's the thing: was the other guy bad to him?
Yes.
Hear me out.
Gave him the gun.
Hear me out.
I'm listening.
He gave him the gun because he got jumped and beat up by a bunch of people. He gave him the gun to protect him. He was helping him out, right? Did he tell him, take this gun into a children's hospital?
No, he
No.
didn't. No, you're right. You're right.
That's Arthur's fault. He did that. He got himself fired. So explain to me why Arthur's mad at the other guy that he got fired for bringing a gun into a hospital. He gave him the gun to protect himself, not to bring it into a hospital. But he blamed somebody else for it.
Here's what he did do, though.
Uh-huh.
So he gave him the gun and said, I'll come and act. You can pay me for it later.
Oh, he tried to extort him for it.
Yes. And then when he was saying that it was a prop, he told the other guy that that might have been a gun because he came to me to try to buy a gun the other day.
Yeah,
he was trying to.
true.
You're right. He's not a saint by any means.
I don't know if he deserved to die.
He was trying to cover for himself. Because of course because honestly he didn't want to get. Because think about it. You're trying to help somebody else out, and then they do something stupid. Should that mean that you get in trouble because you tried to help them out?
No, but he didn't have to give any input to that. He could have said, I don't know where you got the gun from.
But that's.
I think he was jumping.
He was trying. Yeah, he was trying to cover for himself because Arthur could have been like, but it's what's the name's gun.
But no, he tried to say he tried to buy a gun from me. What he could have simply said that he talked to everybody. He said, well, what's the name came to me and just he didn't ask anybody. I'm sure he didn't go to anybody and say, hey, you know where Arthur got a gun from? Why would they know? I'm sure he went to them. It was like he was telling him about Arthur had a gun at the hospital. He's like, well, you did know he did come to me and try to buy a gun the other day.
He's trying to cover for himself because in his head he's thinking, okay, Arthur's in trouble now. Arthur could literally just be like, well, it's not my gun. I got it from blah 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 blah. So he's in his head trying to, like, honestly, it makes
stop him from saying that though.
Because you want this guy to take more care of Arthur than he does himself, and there's no reason why he should do that.
I see that.
There's no reason.
I can understand. I just don't get the point of adding he trying to buy a gun.
Because he's thinking about himself. He's thinking about himself. He does not give a crap about Arthur at this point. He tried to help him. The man brought a gun into a kid's hospital. So it's like, whatever. Whatever. Because that's dumb. There's no reason why he should have done that.
I can see that.
So for him to then blame him, like, oh, well, it was your gun. Like, that doesn't matter. You brought it into the hospital.
Now, that being said, I can still understand why Arthur was mad at him. I'm not saying that Arthur was right.
Yeah.
I can see why Arthur was
Of course,
mad at him.
that's where, because he didn't want it. The guy said, take it. And then that happened. So, of course, if he's not going to be the kind of person who takes responsibility for his actions,
that's the next
which he hasn't been, of course, that's where he's going to point his anger towards.
Did you feel bad for him?
I did until the violent outburst. Because it's like...
No. I mean, did you feel bad for him getting shanked in the eye? Or
oh my gosh.
I mean, yeah, that's not... He didn't deserve that. Like, they're like the guys who the guys on the subway who were harassing the lady and then decided they were gonna all three of them beat up a random guy on the train. Yeah, in self-defense, shoot those guys. I didn't feel sorry for those guys.
I get that part. Not to chase them. The third guy.
Oh well, yeah, that was much. That was a bit much.
A little bit much.
But in self-defense, defend yourself. These guys are mercilessly stomping you on a subway. But the other guy, like, they came to his house to check on him. They saw what was going on.
Old boy was covering his tracks.
True.
Yeah,
true.
Hey, I talked to those detectives.
True.
Yeah.
But also because he wanted to, I mean, he's thinking of himself, but he also went to us like, look, let's get our story straight.
Yeah, I feel you.
Or maybe he was wearing a wire.
Maybe it's possible.
Yeah, let's get our story straight. What's your truth? Be closer.
Yeah,
but I mean,
that's what I got for that movie.
So I mean, and that's fine. Joker is a despicable character. He's not supposed to come out of this story as the good guy. I get that.
Yep.
But nothing in it really framed him. Like it really frames things. Like you have to dig deeper to find him as the bad guy because they stack all this stuff in his backstory to make him sympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
But some people may come out saying like, oh, because of those things, that's how he came out, and kind of absolve him of any of the responsibility for his own actions or his own behavior, which I think is problematic.
Yeah, because them being adopted and the whole being abused by her boyfriend and stuff, I didn't feel like it added much to it. Yeah,
and like for him finding that stuff out, did that justify him then murdering his own mother?
I know, right?
Why would you do that? Like that's not the way someone who has mental issues defaults to their
Yeah.
behavior. You know what I mean? Like, and to try to pass that off as normal is dangerous. Like, don't assume that just because someone has a mental disorder, that just because they're off their medication or just because they're not getting the help they need,
They're gonna start
they'll
killing
inevitably just start killing everybody around them. Because that's not
Right.
true. You know?
I'll give you that. Yeah, that's
Just-
a good point.
Yeah, this particular guy is like that, and they don't do enough to frame why this particular person is like that. It's kind of like all this bad stuff happened, and look how you behaving. You know? It's kind of a
Yeah.
like they could have done more.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
The story wasn't deep enough. I think that's what it was.
Yeah. Like,
Dang.
honestly, go the extra mile. Make it a whole hour longer if you just did. Like, because honestly, I would have found it way more compelling if they really just dug into why the Joker is this violent, why he behaves this
Yeah.
way, why all these things. Like, don't chalk it up to society failed a mentally handicapped person. Like, that's a very simple explanation to a very, very complex character.
Yeah. I could have got the laughing syndrome. I could have got
Yeah,
that.
like I thought that
That
was a
was
very
well-
interesting.
If you
Like
dwell
that's a dope
into-
thing to throw into that character's history. Like that's amazing.
Yeah.
And they didn't let that really dictate how the rest of his story turned out. Like they made it like a plot point, like certain thing, like it kind of came up in certain situations. It was kind of a neat tidbit, but it wasn't like an underlying thing that fed into anything else.
Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
So I mean, if you can't tell, I wasn't super like. It took me a while to kind of come to the conclusion because after watching it, I didn't really know how to feel. Like, because a lot of positive stuff is coming out from a bunch of big media stuff. A lot of friends who had watched it before me were really high on it, like really really into it. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it's not doing it for me. Like I feel like it's a kind of a wasted opportunity.
I can agree with that. I feel like it was a fun ride, but if you take a step back and look at the logistics of why he did what he did, it's shallow. It's very shallow.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah. Well, that's Joker.
Yep.
That is the Joker.
So any other final thoughts, or we all set?
Zazie Beetz is bad.
As
Still?
always.
Yes, Lord.
Another reason why it was such an impossibility
Yeah.
they would give it that movie.
I saw memes the next day. It's like, y'all really thought he was gonna get this? Like, I'm guilty.
That's funny. But hope you guys enjoyed this Joker discussion. If there's other stuff that's coming out in the near future or other stuff that's already existed that you want us to do like in-depth discussions on, let us know. It could possibly be like a breakout thing that we maybe even do on the side if it's big enough of a thing, you know? So we definitely want to hear from you guys. Definitely email us, BBETGaming@gmail.com.
You got it right the first time. Last week I had like 3 or 4 times before I could say it right.
Yeah, I don't know what goes on in my brain when I start that sentence, but that's going to do it for episode 22 of the BBET GamesCast. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Blue. Peace, everybody.
Adios.
Concentrate on a nigga while I'm out here trying to get him and forget it. Shaking my head, these niggas that don't speak. Trying to get bread, y'all niggas in deep sleep. At least I'm woke, nigga, I'm a beast, at least I know. Whoa. Trying to get rid of me, but I am the epitome of acidity. Pockets fatter than every city beat. I had a dream and I seen just what I'm finna be. The shit is obscene, I'm on the scene. And they